Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's SMZ3 combo randomizer race. We've got the losers bracket match against In the Name of DT and Relkin. The winner moves on to bracket stage. The loser goes home. This is going to be a really exciting match. Joined on the mic with me is Lachlan. How are you doing, Lachlan?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing great, thank you. And of course, we're joined by Link Force Zero on the tracker, helping us out, keeping us honest when we inevitably miss some items picked up along the way. We should have a really exciting matchup here. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what these runners can do. Is there anything in particular that you're excited to see out of these two, Lachlan?
Whether or not they make the right decision to not kill Shag Tool.
That's a good point, and I am absolutely on your side. Shagtool is a friend. He's here to help us. Hopefully, if they visit him, they let him live in peace. But yeah, we should have a nice matchup here. These two runners definitely are both, from what I understand, are both more familiar and comfortable with Link to the Past, but obviously they both won a match to get to this point. They both won one and lost one, so they're definitely competent in SMZ3 and Super Metroid as well. So it's really going to be interesting to see how that affects their decisions, if it changes their routing based on, options they have in both games. But it looks like we'll be getting started in just a minute. So Lachlan, before we get underway with our checks, do you have a guess for where you think the morph ball is going to be today? Do you think it's going to be an early one, or
Mushroom.
have a late season? Mushroom.
Could be the mushroom check.
Nice. That's always a good fetch quest for morph ball is always fun. I'm hoping it's in a pendant dungeon somewhere. Maybe.
I'm hoping that said mushroom is in Super Metroid.
Oh, nice. So the required double dip, like say screw attack to get mushroom from Old Mother Brain or something like that. That could be a fun one.
Top of Red Tower, also good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, depending on what these runners get, they might have an option to get to Red Tower or potentially even
here we go. I imagine we'll see both of them immediately go to Link to the Past, because there was only one in logic check here.
Yeah, that's definitely the most common and popular play. There's so many checks to Link to the Past in this Sphere 1. We'll see whether they go right into this doorway or continue down the tower here. And yes, both opting to go to Link to the Past.
Just some supers on the island, so they'll probably forget about those in 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, there's a slim chance they'll route them in, but if they happen to be nearby and don't have a charge beam with the mirror and Darkhold access. The double map check, was that just 3 crystals in the light world? Okay. That's a good layout. Usually you want as many crystals in the light world as possible. Those are typically the easier and shorter dungeons.
They are indeed. Looks like the tree pole is nothing special.
Yeah, that's a tier 3 tree pole since they didn't take damage. We get flippers, okay. That's
and
nice.
power bombs.
Flippers, power bombs, and a bomb drop from these guards in their prize pack. That's actually really handy for Relkin in case DT doesn't get any bombs from like the tree poles that he's going to do probably on the way to Kakariko or from the bush crabs. That bomb could help Relkin farm up money back of blind set real easy.
Or just open the bomb hut, but they find 50 rupees in the sanctuary, which is bomb money.
Yeah, that's true. There is a bomb hut to get 4 free bombs in the southwest of Kakariko. It's not seen very often in this, but with 1 bomb, you can open it up and get as many as you need. It's like
well, there's also a 50-50 bomb bush near the entrance of that hut.
Oh, I actually did not know that. I didn't know which bush that was. That's good information to have.
Tier 1 tree is trash. As is the bush crab. Players are going to be on their own for rupees and bombs.
Yeah, we could see a tier 2. Tier 2 is difficult to work towards. You have to kill 4 enemies and then take damage and then pull a tree. So it's a little awkward to try to route that in. So they might both skip it, especially with enough money to just buy a 10-pack of bombs. Although it looks like relkin might be setting up for that tier 2 pull. I didn't see if he killed enough enemies on the previous screen, but the fact that he took damage and killed that crab and the pickle, he might be setting that up.
Just a neat tank and a bit more cash here. Early on, the cash does matter, especially if they're buying bombs, because that's 150 rupees you're going to want. Lumberjack was just missiles.
Yeah, that's a good point. The 150 is that key number they want, enough to buy a 10-pack of bombs for 50, and then 100 to get the bottle vendor item. They could come back for that later, but it's kind of awkward to route in.
And that cheap pull that Relkin did was also not spectacular.
Yeah, it looks like, unless I missed something, that looked like he was setting up for the tier 2 pull and just got the
It
same
looked like it
prize
was
as the tier 1.
blues. Okay, and we have some supers in the bar.
And you can pull that painting of Mario
Sure can.
in the creeper house. I did not know that. Just goes to show these runners have a lot of knowledge and skill. I actually want to point out that I've learned things from both these runners actually in the last month of watching them and working alongside them in this tournament. Both have a wealth of knowledge to share with us. Unfortunately, only single rupees from that painting. And that must be
Relkin does get that bomb bush.
Yeah, that's the 50-50 you were talking about, Lachlan? That's
Yes.
interesting.
Yes, I most commonly use it when I have no bombs. I enter CAC without rupees as well.
It is a little interesting that Relkin didn't just jump down into Blindshot with his one bomb and hope to get bailed out there, since it's pretty close by. And it would have given him a little bit of extra rupees, but...
Well, turns out the rupees are actually in the well. Along with a plasma beam.
That's a nice find, especially with the charge beam right alongside it. That is just a perfect combination. So the damage output when these runners do get to go to Super Metroid is going to be pretty substantial. Obviously, they could still get that increased with Wave and Ice, but that's enough to comfortably handle really any of the bosses in Super Metroid.
Hookshot in Blind's house. Not very impactful yet, but with anything that just get up the mountain, that's East Death Mountain, which is a lot of checks.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that stun prize could be useful too early on. I imagine we'll see them check that while they're still, not doing the best on money.
And our runners will not have to worry about the 5 Power Bomb Nightmare, because they each have, so we've seen at least 2 packs of Power Bombs. And our first sword!
Okay, that sword is definitely worth the 100
CAC
rupees.
is stacked!
Yeah, so as far as firepower goes and damage output, these runners are in really good shape. And DT using the hook shot just to help move around a little bit faster. It's actually a nice mobility tool as well. Sometimes it's not always worth it to menu to it, but when you have it equipped and you can use it to grab some trees and pull yourself a little bit faster than just walking, it can be nice.
And DT is going for the blind race game. It's a bit longer than going out and checking it, but if it's something you want, this obviously will save you time.
Yeah, I like this play for SMZ3 seeds. With how much ammo you need, even with charge and plasma, you're going to want more supers and missiles than they have currently, so even if it's something not essential, it's probably going to be helpful. So it makes sense to check it blind. And those bombs do end up being probably worth it if he checked it before going through there, he probably wouldn't have gone back and picked them up. But since he was so close, you might as well grab them and top yourself off to 10 bombs.
8 bombs should be plenty, given they have a sword for many Mordoms. And a hook shot.
That's true. That's a good point. And the stun prize is just a single rupee, so that's not helpful. Alright, we'll see where Relkin goes here with the save and quit. Probably going to South Shore as well. He could opt to do Eastern Sahasrilla play, but with that being a crystal, he might want to delay as long as possible in case they get a bow early. So far, not a lot of direct progression. The flippers seem like that might be blocking something. That opens up quite a few items.
Yeah, but I do not want to have to farm for King Zora money with their current equipment.
Yeah, they could potentially set up a Houlihan. You can't do either of the most common setups since they have flippers to stop the... I don't even know where you'd call that location. The one to the east of Sanctuary in Back of Escape. They can't do that with flippers. They can't do the Grave drop down without gloves. But there's a couple other places they could do Houlihan to get money if they need to.
And we see Relkin making the play over toward Aguna Cave, while DT got a completely useless Spazer Beam.
That's so unfortunate. I like the Spazer Beam, and I think it gets a bad rap because it's so useful if
Well,
you don't have plasma.
when you already have plasma, though, it is kind of useless.
Yeah, that's the only time that it's actually a not helpful beam. And of course, they get plasma immediately, and then Spazer. Yeah, I kind of like this play from Relkin. It's a little bit of a long walk, and it's the only thing you can really check over here. Scouting out nothing really important on the desert ledge. But it's a one more chance that he'll get rupees, maybe to help get him closer to that Zora money, or the Morph Ball.
Morph Ball in Aguna. That's
all right.
That's quite the impactful thing.
Yeah, let's hope that DT checks that before too long. Looks like Relkin not too excited to go into Super Metroid. Makes sense. He doesn't have a lot of mobility items. He's got firepower, but I think only 10 power bombs. He doesn't have a space jump.
Yeah, one more speed pack would be very helpful for Relkin.
Exactly, yeah. One more pack lets him route through Brinstar without having to stop and farm at any point in there, without having to really worry about missing any checks. But you've still got some dense locations here that he did put off. We'll see if DT gets any other progression if he opts to skip Agina's Cave for a while. That could end up being bad. It is just so out of the way, but if he doesn't get any progression, obviously he'll be forced there before too long. Blue Mail's pretty nice at Ice Red Cave. That's definitely appreciated with only 4 hearts. No sign of Dark World access yet, though, so not in a lot of danger.
Okay, it looks like DT is going to go ahead and go check the Waterfall Cave and Zora Ledge. You're obviously way too poor for King Zora unless the Waterfall Cave is loaded.
Yeah, it looks like he's, unless I missed it, he's skipping the Hobo. I guess both these runs are probably
DT already did the Hobo. It wasn't anything special. We had a bottle and an ether in Waterfall Cave. So it's loaded, just not in the rupee sense.
Okay, and yeah, both runners are going to be checking the Zora Ledge item, seeing if this is valuable. Before saving quitting out of here.
The answer would be no. It's not worth it.
If only it wasn't so far away. It's probably an item they'd like to have with such a small amount of health and a bottle already, but yeah, definitely not worth all the walking and swimming that would take.
Now, DT is not finished down here. He's not choosing not to save and quit.
I'm not sure where he's taking this whirlpool.
He's hitting the cack to check that bottle, I think.
Oh, wow, that's really smart. I never would have thought of that. That is a really heads-up play. Yeah, this is the quickest way to get back to Kakariko from where he is. Way faster than a save and quit. And he can turn in that bottle immediately to see what Sick Kid has. Yeah, there we go again. These runners showing their just wealth of knowledge in this game. Both have been involved in this randomizer for quite a long time, and it's showing off. Okay, power bombs are nice. There's that third pack. So you can get all the way through Brinstar, at least for DT once he gets the Morph Ball.
But for now, it looks like we're heading towards Sahasrara and Eastern Palace. Which are Sphere checks. Yeah, it's wise to make these.
Yeah, and just by density alone, this makes sense for DT. If he already had the Morph Ball, he might still opt to do Sahasrara, or maybe even Eastern. But without the Morph Ball, this is definitely a solid play here. And he definitely could get something that would make it worth it when he does eventually get that Morph Ball, transitioning into Super Metroid.
Well, if you like E-Tanks, Sahasrara had one of those for you. They can be helpful early on if you're going for a gauntlet check.
Yeah, it helps with that gauntlet check for sure. That acid drains your health really fast. And even the big side hoppers in Brinstar do a pretty substantial amount of damage. So if you're not careful... Is it 60? Okay, I don't know a lot of the SM values. Thank you for that. But I know that I've gotten myself in a lot of trouble.
I learned those values with my face. Alright, I've been corrected. 80 damage.
Is it 80? Okay.
Thinking of something else that does 60. That'd be spikes, I believe.
Yeah, some of the spikes do 60, and some do less. I don't fully understand that either, but I know it's a lot, and I know it's enough that they have definitely killed me before. So having an extra E-Tank, it's pretty handy early on.
Quake, it could be progression, but not anytime soon.
Okay, definitely start to feel a little bit better having another medallion. One less thing that's going to prevent you from doing...
And Relkin is going into SM. And he is not going up to Gauntlet. It's not in logic, but it is doable.
Yeah, I think one thing that's going to be interesting to see is that I find interesting a lot, that some of the tricks in Super Metroid that are out of logic, obviously they all have different difficulties, and some of it depends on the runner, what their specific skills are. So for example, those delayed wall jumps you have to do to get to the gauntlet can be really tricky for some people, and there's other runners that might struggle with them, whereas, you know, we could see one runner struggle with one boss and then do a fantastic job at another, while the other runner has the exact opposite experience. So it might be that specific skill isn't one that Relkin's comfortable with, or maybe just trying to stay in logic early on is his goal. Nice Alcatraz.
We already have our second bottle of the seed. And you remember they asked to turn on your plasma or spacer. This is a safety feature because if they came on automatically equipped and you found both of them in one link to the past session, you would crash the game.
Yeah, it's a nice foresight. I'm sure that was discovered during some testing that the developer...
It sure was.
Or Total, possibly the developer, put in.
So we'll be able to see what the two items at the back of Gauntlet are, but we cannot collect them from here. And looks like Relkin is opting not to actually look at them. Oh, he's just farming these crickets.
Okay. That makes sense. He just wants to top off his power bombs. Now we'll go up and check them. And nothing of value in Eastern either, so it looks like DT is going to have to go to either Escape. He could go to check the Morph Pedestal or go to Agina, so... Staying in Link to the Past. going south. Looks like he is going to get his morph
Yeah.
ball pretty soon.
And the 2 items at the back of Gauntlet weren't anything required. So unless there's something at the front of Gauntlet, relkin will not be punished for not knowing that trick, or for not employing it.
Yeah, the good thing about that front check is obviously it's faster to get to than the back one if you do end up having to go back there later. But also the same things that put that in logic put in the criteria powerbomb check generally. So you could kind of pair those two up, makes it easier not to isolate the criteria powerbomb location.
Now I do see relkin execute the mock ball to get back here. That one trick gets you 4 items in this early location.
Yeah, this is one of those sequence breaks that basically everyone does. It's just so valuable, and it's much easier for most people than a lot of the other tricks. So definitely worth it to learn. And ooh, looks like a Master Sword for his trouble out of logic. That's a very nice find.
It is. So it won't be in logic till we find a speed booster somewhere. And we see DT entering Super Metroid as well.
Yeah, so he was very thorough in Link to the Past. The only thing he skipped was the front of escape, logically. And he is going to do the gauntlet checks. Nicely done. Gets the delayed wall jump without too much trouble to get up here.
We find a flute down near the Edicoons.
That's very convenient. Possibly required logically to get to the mire area, to desert potentially with the mirror, or into lower Norfair. Welcome with some nice D-boosts there to get through whatever that room's called. Does take a pretty decent amount of damage, but gets through it quickly.
Morph bombs. That enables can fly for DT, which does enable some checks. It also means our access here is we need either a space jump or speed booster to get to this gear gauntlet.
Yeah,
Morph bombs is one of the 3. So that could be very impactful item-wise, though.
Yeah, absolutely. It might not be what DT wanted to see. It's going to make his powerbomb routing and his resource management a little bit easier for sure. So that part's nice. And the ability that it has to give him some more locations is really nice. But he might end up doing some infinite bomb jumps that are necessarily slow just while he's in the area with that. So it could end up being a little bit of a time loss in that regard.
But there's always the chance those bomb jumps are necessary, and he also gets to pick up that super missile pack, which, while not strictly required, is always nice.
Yeah, so his ammo's looking pretty good so far. 20 supers, 15 power bombs already, in comparison to Relkin's 10 and 10.
Yes, infinite bomb jump can be logically required to get to criteria power bombs, or to get through worst room in the game.
Yeah, if they get a Various suit, that could be required to get to some locations in Upper Norfair as well. To get to Cathedral and Bubble Mountain area, that's quite a substantial number of checks that often requires morph ball bombs.
Well, if we find a gravity suit, it could be your logical access into the wrecked ship.
Yeah, that's true. That they could be used for the wrecked ship, or even in Meridia for Everest and a couple other places, I believe. But the gravity jumps are, for a lot of people, easier and definitely faster if you're proficient.
Fortunately for Everest, they should find a speed booster somewhere. Or a space jump, given how the bombs were locked. That's a really tall bomb jump to do.
Yeah, yeah. The gravity jump isn't, especially if they get high jump boots, the gravity jump there is pretty forgiving. So I imagine these runners will be able to do that. But having speed booster or space jump is even easier. And showing off the wave gate glitch. Without high jump boots, it's a little bit trickier. Running low on supers, but it looks like he got it. Nicely done.
Ooh, and he gets his own third beep pack. That'll be quite handy as he heads towards Blue Star.
Yeah, that's a nice find, especially just not only because it's his third pack, but because he was down to just 2 power bombs. So the extra 5 right here without having to refill is really nice. So he can get all the way through. I believe he can do all of the blue Bryn checks on his way up, including scouting out the Criteria Supers if he wants to that are speed locked, but you can take a peek at them.
Just some missiles through the wiggle tube.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how long these runners opt to go before they start skipping missiles. With charge and plasma, they likely won't need very many. I imagine Relkin's only grabbing them because of how low his super missile count is. But I suspect he'll start skipping those pretty soon.
That, and they also are handy to have for the Phantoon fight.
Yeah, I mean 50 is a little excessive for Phantoon.
Hey, we have the bow. We can
just
out of logic complete Eastern. So I believe both of these runners are fully capable of handling that dark room.
Oh, 100%, especially with the blue mail and the sword that they have to help navigate the darkness. That's going to be really nice for Relkin to be able to do that in one trip, since he did not jump into Eastern yet. It's going to feel a little bit bad for DT. But not too long to double dip and get back to.
And Relkin is now skipping regular missiles, because he did not want those.
Alright, well, my question is answered. He's officially at that point where he knows he's got enough. Getting the better of the two boomerangs. The blue one here in Blue Bryn. Very appropriate spot for Relkin.
And unfortunately, he jumped a little too soon for this Billy Mays check. But he has enough health that these spikes didn't kill him, so he gets to try again.
Yeah, I believe those spikes do 60 damage.
Those are the 60 damage variety.
Yeah.
And he's rewarded with a wave beam. And a good chunk of the cash he needs for Zora.
Yeah, wave beam for the low price of negative 300 rupees is that's a pretty good deal. Really honoring the name of Billy Mays with those savings. It's like DT farming up some supers. He did not do. Did he do the wave gate skip yet? I would imagine that's why he's farming.
I do not believe so. Normally I see normally runners do the spore spawn skip before this check, because you can use one power bomb to open the door and crack open the blocks. But once you go through this door, those blocks return. So it's slightly more efficient power bomb wise.
Yeah, depending on where you lay the power bomb to get to Mission Impossible, it can end up being the same, but that's a good point. If you lay it down low, you can open these two with one. I think the number of super missiles he had and the fact that he's missing high jump might have been a factor as well, making sure he gets enough from that nice 3-bug farm spot. Relkin finding nothing here at Old Mother Brain but missiles. Going to continue to skip those. And he does not actually have enough. I think I might have miscounted, and he does not have enough to get in and out of, or to even get in to the Criteria Supers check. So he's going to have to skip that. Not able to pick it up anyway, so not a big loss. But DT might be able to check that, and could have some good information if it ends up being important. That extra power bomb pack he got in Eastern, I believe.
believe you are correct. And Relkin is heading back to Link to the Past. Possibly as a way to just quickly reset to the ship. Nope, he wants to go activate that float, because Death Mountain is open. And that's a big old paradox cave, chock full of items.
Okay. Yeah, this makes sense. He's going to activate his flute. He's going to turn in his bottle check. He hasn't checked Sit Kid yet. DT did that. Oh, wait, that's where the power bombs were. They were Sit Kid. That's why DT has an extra pack. So Relkin will get that power bomb pack from Sit Kid. Activate his flute. Probably do Eastern before Death Mountain as well, actually. But we'll see what he opts to do. You're absolutely correct with that hook shot. Death Mountain's a very enticing play right now.
And the bird has been freed from its prison.
Yep, fast travel enabled. Nice D-boost to get to those missiles of the ceiling E-tank in the name of DT. Oh, looks like Relkin grabbing the old man, doing this, getting the save and quit point here on Death Mountain first.
You may want a bit more health before doing the Eastern Palace Dark Rooms.
Yeah, that's true, especially if he's planning on setting up the damage boost to get the vanilla big key chest easily. That guarantees 1.5 hearts of damage, at least, depending on how you set it up. So he probably wants to make sure he gets...
And using the fairy pot is just slow.
Yeah, using those are slow. Having to kill the enemies in that room to get the vanilla big key chest without taking damage is slow.
So we'll get to see what's on Spectacle Rock real soon.
Yeah, and since Relkin's up here, especially if this item isn't important, I imagine he'll drop down and check the 3 really quick items at the high jump boots locations as well.
You see the first reserve tank and a thing of supers. I would personally be very tempted to grab those supers.
Yeah, I would go ahead and try to keep that in mind and pick them up later if you end up in need. He does have charge and plasma though, so I think at this point you're not too worried about him. 10's a really bad number to have. That's pretty low, but he doesn't need him imminently for anything. You know, it's not like he's going to do Ridley anytime soon or...
And he goes into Super Metroid instead of progressing towards Eastern Death Mountain. Getting these high jump area checks. Another bottle.
Yeah, I like this check, because he can just pop in here, grab these 3 real quick, and then come out. I don't foresee Relkin doing anything more, apart from checking the Crocomire escape. And it looks like...
That's all 4 bottles accounted for.
Wow, really? All 4 bottles. Unless I missed it, looks like DT is also not checking the Criteria Super's location.
Understandable. It can be a rather slow check.
Yeah, it's slow, and also just considering that he doesn't have a suit yet. If you get hit by those boyons, fall into the acid, you can take a pretty good amount of damage pretty quickly. If you aren't really careful there. It's like Relkin with early crate entry. You can do this jump from that top ledge or the little ledge down here. It looks like he's... Okay. Yeah, the lower one's a little bit easier, I think.
So it'll be interesting to see how if DT's route diverges. He, of course, still has to make the Bomb Chorizo check, and that's going to involve fighting Bomb Chorizo because he does have the bombs. He saved. He may be going in down to check the shaft now. He just wanted to save first as a safety measure. And then, of course, he can always reset back to the save point when he's done seeing this.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good play. I actually didn't know that was a save room. But it's definitely the quickest save point, closest one to this, and he might be concerned about the health, doesn't want to stop and kill the Boyans. They take quite a bit of ammunition to kill. And as you can see, that E-tank drained really quickly in the acid, so a pretty risky room if you're...
And if he hadn't saved, he'd have to go back the other way through. Now we see... Relkin does not get the quick kill on Quaid. We are going to see the full stand-up.
Yep. Done nice and quick, though. There's that mushroom. Looks like the mushroom did not lock the morph ball like you expected, Lachlan, but...
But it was in Super Metroid.
It is in Super Metroid, and it could still lock some progression, so we might see the runners come back here once they get speed boost. That's a pretty bad find for DT, actually. It's almost better not to know that's there. Because then he's going to be thinking about it as soon as he gets speed, but he's not going to want to route it in right away, because it's kind of off by itself. So Relkin getting the first boss kill done with Kraid just a minute ago. So DT's going to be technically killing a boss here, but not really a real boss. Quite a pushover.
2 super missiles and Bomb Tuizo goes down.
Yeah, I don't know how much damage charge and plasma does on Bomb Tuizo, but 2 supers is quick enough. Might even be quicker. Oh, interesting. Relkin not going back to East Death Mountain at this point in time. He's going to go up the Red Tower.
He doesn't have the gear for that, but he has the gear to check this Spazer check.
Oh, right. He didn't get the Morph Ball Bomb, so he can't get up the Red Tower.
Although getting the top of that tower with just morph bombs is a horrendous affair. And speaking of morph bombs, we're about to see DT use a whole bunch of them. Jumps up towards the Criteria Power Bomb location. If this is something like that really helps with mobility, this could be huge.
Yeah, if it's not, it's going to feel probably a little bit more bad knowing that those are out of logic, those morph bombs, because it is kind of a slow climb to get up here.
And it's just a big 20, but he now no longer has to think about this check.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Relkin just going for Spazer, coming back to Death Mountain. And we'll see... Fluting away. Okay, so he's not going to East Death Mountain. With Eastern clearable, this makes a little bit of sense. He does have a 5th heart. Does have the bow to be able to clear it. Might be hoping to get a hammer, or maybe even like mitts before going to...
Oh, that is a space jump. That puts those power... Acquiring that puts those bombs into logic. And that's pretty easy to grab that item.
Yeah, that's a huge find for DT. This is really nice. Not only does it put the bombs in logic, but it puts all of Wreck's ship in logic, and he's right here. 2 E-tanks, no suits. I don't expect that we'll see a Fantoon fight here, but he can scout out this this item at the mid-ocean.
Some sort of air. I couldn't tell if it was capacity or silvers, though.
I think that was silvers. It looked silver and not gold, but I definitely couldn't read on there. That's...
Chat and our tracker are confirming silvers.
Okay, nothing under the ocean. Wonder if... I still don't think we'll see Fantoon with this amount of health just yet. But it's probably going to push Wreck's ship to a little bit more of a priority in DT's mind. So just knowing that's there.
He's indeed backing off for now, but we can still head down to that tower. Should be a few more checks we didn't see.
Those knowing those silvers are there too might also kind of put Eastern out of his mind. Even though he's got the bow, he can clear it. Since he already dipped it, I don't know if there's an item left on Armos, but knowing he could logically have the silvers before going back to finish up the dungeon, I suspect that he'll do that.
I believe Almost is just a garbage item, like a map or something. And our tracker confirms.
Okay, thank you, Link Force. Then he's definitely going to grab those silvers before going to Armos. No doubt about that. Well, I guess the argument could be made if he ends up in pod before wreck ship and has a mirror, he might just mirror and do Armos at that point in time without silvers. It doesn't save a whole lot, but...
And we get another E-Tank pushing a Phantoon closer into the realm of something that they might want to do. Although it is perfectly illogic for them to do Phantoon with only this much health.
Yeah, that's correct. I think Phantoon's scary about that, and honestly, there's Various Suit. It's a lot less scary. I was going to say, also the Spiky Room,
half as scary.
Spiky Room of Death is probably just as scary. I was going to say, especially without Various Suit, those spikes do a ton of damage. And you can kind of get comboed by the moving spikes and the spikes on the ground and get yourself trapped and die immediately. Varia also makes the X-ray location a lot safer, and with Space Jump, it's in logic. Yeah. I would guess that's why DT is saving right now, just in case he were to have some difficulties with that X-ray room.
You may be thinking of Phantoon.
He might be.
I mean, he's heading upwards.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what he's doing then. Yeah, that 30 tank and that Varia suit definitely push this in. Let's see what he does. Yeah, Varia suit unlocks a lot of checks. All the Upper Norfair is now available, with the exception of
Ice Beam.
Ice Beam and is Crocodile's not in logic without Wave Beam, correct?
Yeah, you would need to grab that Wave Beam to put Crocodile in logic.
Yeah, I know DT's able to do the gate glitch there. They do have Wave. I couldn't recall if they had it. Unfortunately, there's not quite enough room on our tracker for all the useful items. We just put the most essential ones on there. But yeah, you can see the spread of his beam. It's not just a single line with the plasma shots. So that indicates they do have Wave. That's correct.
So let's see how runners fight some bosses here.
Yeah, we're gonna have almost sync boss fights. Relkin's probably gonna be done with Armos before DT gets to Phantoon. This is such a quick fight. When you know the quick kill setup, which Relkin certainly does. 5 arrows to the right, and then 13 arrows down in this position. Oh, misses the quick kill, gets a little bit of an enrage phase, but only costs him a second or two. Phantoon fight's a little bit more complicated, especially when it can be slowed down by these slow patterns. Luckily, Charge, Plasma, Wave does a substantial amount of damage. If I'm not mistaken, looks like a slow pattern from Phantoon.
Meanwhile, Relkin is heading over to East Death Mountain, so we're about to see a whole bunch of checks out of Paradox Cave. And DT has Phantoon.
Nicely done. Phantoon is down. That's the first boss kill from DT.
Just a couple checks of Paradox, so nothing special, but we still have the main event of this cave.
Yeah, 5 more items in the top/bottom, however you want to think of it. I always think of this as the top of the cave, but I think that's...
Hammer! That means we can now go into the Tower of Hera.
That's a really good find. Relkin's going to feel really good about that, especially knowing that he did leave a couple of checks in Super Metroid before coming back to Link to the Past. He's not going to have to make another trip around East Death Mountain to get to Hera for any reason. He'll just have to come back when he gets mitts for all the Dark World stuff.
Nothing worth mentioning on the floating island. It looks like we're going to do Hera first, and then come back around to do Spiral Cave on the way out.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. He does not have a fire source to do Hera Basement. I do believe Relkin knows how to do the Hera Pot. We'll see if he has to do that. Depending on the key logic here, he might be required to do Hera Pot to get to the top of the dungeon.
Well, we see one item of this dungeon as well. So there's one item left, and one chance to not need to Hera Pot.
Oh, big key. He doesn't need to Hera Pot, but he'll do it anyway just to save a little bit of time. It's slightly faster than walking around. Meanwhile, DT in a very dangerous room. A little less so with Varia and with Space Jump, but still taking a pretty good amount of damage. The moving platform spikes are the ones that are the real threat. With Varia Suit, they're treated as enemies, so their damage is not lessened. He gets through it. I assume he saved before doing this. I didn't see it, but he probably saved so that in case he died, he didn't lose progress, and that he can also reset if this item ends up being nothing.
Well, it's 50-50 for Moldorm to have the key or the item.
Yep, and either way, Relkin's not going to be able to check the basement without that fire source. So even if it is the small key, he's going to leave. If it's the item, he's going to be in good shape, knowing he's leaving nothing behind in the basement, since the small key can lock itself. Fortunately, too, for DT, he doesn't have to try to make his way back through Spiky Room of Death with that item at the E-Tank location here. It was just 50 rupees. Relkin with a nice...
clean Moldorm kill from Relkin, and we get the small key. Ooh, isolating an item in the basement.
Alright, yeah, it doesn't feel too bad since he at least got his required crystal. So he got progression. He knows he's not making a gamble leaving the item behind. He's being forced to do so.
And he does remember to go back for Spiral Cave. Yes, if Lamp were in Spiral Cave, then he would feel kind of silly.
Yeah, I don't suspect he would make the trip back around just for that one check if he got Lamp, but you never know. Different runners have different ways of routing and thinking about things. You might want to be thorough. Just ensure that he doesn't leave anything behind in case it's a long trip back. DT is going to be checking out this speed-locked item, the Wreck Ship Reserve in the vanilla game. It can be difficult to get the jump and quick morph to get over these blocks, so he's opting to bomb jump up there. But it's worth pointing out that a lot of times these bomb jumps, when you start from the ground, are harder than doing them in midair once you get a little bit used to the timing. Like, placing that second bomb at the right time is pretty difficult to do.
And it was just an E-Tank in the Spiral Cave, which is still pretty good at this stage because they don't have a lot of them. The other Boomerang. Well, I don't think we're going to see any of them come back for that, or even if they find Speed real soon to grab it in the first place.
Definitely not. I think they both picked up the blue Boomerang and blue Brinstar, so they don't have a use for the red one. The only value it might add would be if they didn't have flippers. You can do some fake flipper shenanigans using the red boomerang that I know Relkin's familiar with. I'm not sure if DT is, but with flippers, those are no longer even helpful. Relkin seeing his space jump. Grabbing it, and we'll see what he opts to do. Whether he goes down red tower or over to wreck ship at this point. No Varia suit for him, but he does have 4 E-tanks, so it would be a little bit safer than when DT saw that. Okay, choosing to go down definitely makes sense.
And he will be rewarded for it.
He will be. He might choose to turn around with that Varia suit, same as DT did. And the additional E-tank that was in the Beta Power Bomb's location.
So far, I believe the only progression we've found here is the silver arrows, which mostly just make Ganon a whole lot faster.
Yeah, make Ganon and a few other bosses, especially... We don't know if Misery Mire is going to be a crystal or pendant, but if Vitreous is required, that's a really good boss to have silver arrows on. Makes that fight much safer and faster.
Yeah, a bit of waiting time as we go through the bowling sequence, and Relkin catches up on the items that DT has grabbed earlier, although he is up 2 crystals. And a Kraid.
Relkin trying to get this D-boost. At this point, it might be a little quicker just to use a space jump to get over the Boyons, but at least going for the fast strats. You can commend him on that one.
Alright. Looks like our ship was logically not important.
Yeah, not important apart from the Fantoon kill and the silvers. And Relkin making the same choice. Definitely makes sense. Especially with his extra E-tanks to make it even more safe. So he'll be following right behind DT, while I imagine DT's going to continue down the red tower and check out the Kraid's lair location and the high jump location, probably into some upper Norfair clearing. X-ray is not necessarily isolated, to answer in chat. Neither runner has gone all the way through red tower. So DT's going to check that on the way to probably Spazer and Upper Norfair checks, Kraid's lair. Relkin hasn't checked.
It's the only thing in the red tower area he's missing. It is isolated for Relkin.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It is for him since he did go out of his way to check Spazer earlier. But there's still some opportunities to go back to that, I guess. He could do it right after wreck ship, or potentially go a little bit out of his way if he's on his way to the front door of Meridia at some point. He might opt to... That's probably the closest he'll ever be to this point again. Ooh. By that waiver just at the end, right before the ledge. Luckily, can get back up real easy with space jump, and the spikes don't do a whole lot of damage. And the book!
Book of Medora, that could be potentially important if Relkin does end up isolating this and not grabbing it.
Oh yeah, that's
access into desert, although we cannot complete it. And we can actually grab the ether tablet, which DT will be able to do when he does his Death Mountain check.
That's a good point. We still need a fire rod for desert and potentially boots. But that ether tablet's going to be one less location that's isolated for DT. Yeah, with no gloves, we probably won't see... We're still a little bit of a ways away from getting to the Mire area, or sorry, the desert area through Mire, without the gloves, without the lower Norfair access, without the mirror, so that book might be required for that. T getting kind of stuck in the spikes here. Okay. Yeah, those are tricky. The spikes don't give you as many iframes as enemies do, so it can be a little bit tougher to get out, especially when you're in the water like that.
And we
Luckily,
see
they don't
relkin
do a ton
also
of damage.
using charge strats to take down Phantom. And down he goes.
Yeah, that was an excellent fight using 2 missiles, then 2 more missiles, and then a charge shot. Looks like was that just a 2 cycle?
It looks like it.
Yeah, I think that seems to be the optimal way to do that fight. Very well done, at least with his equipment.
DT going ahead and cracking open the door to Meridia.
Yeah, that makes sense since he's not going to have to pass back through there for any reason other than going to Meridia. It won't slow him down for any other reason.
We'll get the crate checks while relkin does the ship stuff. So if anyone in chat wants to ask a question, now would be a great time.
Yeah, we won't be seeing any new information for quite a bit here. I guess I'm not in chat, but I have a question for you, Lachlan. What do you think our next step in the progression chain is going to be? What do you think these runners are going to have to do?
Honestly, I'm suspecting it's going to be Upper Norfair. And we're going to find our Dark Old access there.
Yeah, that's a good bet. We're a bit of ways away from Dark World. We still need a couple things. We still need the Moon Pearl, and either a glove, or potentially a gravity suit to get through the Meridia. Gravity and speed booster would get us through the Meridia portal.
And a lamp gets us through Aghanim.
And a lamp. Yeah, that Master Sword was behind speed, so that's still not in logic yet.
True. But
it's definitely doable. Got Kraid DLC from both our runners. DT having a little bit more difficulty with that, kind of.
DT deciding he doesn't want any more power bombs. He does have enough to complete the game even without Ice Beam.
Yeah, and with Morph Bombs, he's pretty comfortable.
And without having to run back to the ship to refill.
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see what DT chooses to do here, because he has Upper Norfair and Death Mountain open to him. I suspect he'll probably go ahead and go to Link to the Past to get the Death Mountain save spot.
Yeah, getting that save and quit point by rescuing the old man is a really good idea. I think that's definitely a first priority. Maybe checking the high jump items before doing that, since that's a really quick 3. I think that's a good call. And that seems to be what he's doing. Ooh, fucking missed the E-tank. Okay. Didn't fall all the way down. Space jump, kind of bailing him out a little bit there. Relkin possibly does not know those are just shot blocks. Doesn't need to lay a power bomb. But that works too to get his silver arrows. Well, DT is going to Upper Norfair. Okay, so he's not opting to go to East Death Mountain yet. Possibly waiting on that hammer that, unfortunately for him, is right there in Paradox Cave.
True. Just because we know that doesn't mean he does. And if I'm not mistaken, Relkin did not check the Electroship reserve items, so he doesn't know about that red boomerang.
Oh, that's an interesting call if he opted to skip that. Well, he doesn't have Morph Ball bombs like the DT did.
I believe he has Spring Ball.
Jump. Where was Spring Ball? I think I missed that one entirely.
I mean, I say it because I think I saw him use it. Okay, it was from the old man, according to the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting then that he would skip that. I thought maybe he might not be too comfortable with those. Yep, there's Spring Ball. Using it right away. Get through there real nicely. Are you able to... Yeah, I guess he's able to scout it out this way. Okay.
I guess, yeah, this is one way to do it, because he does have space jump. Otherwise, the spikes normally make wall jumping up here an iffy proposition.
Ooh, and there's the gravity suit.
There's gravity.
Wave missile.
So we can go into the dark hole, just can't do anything useful there yet.
Alright, Roken does scout that out nicely. And Speed Booster. That Wave Beam. It looked vanilla for a second before I realized that's not exactly the Speed Booster room. It's just below it on the map.
Okay, that puts the rest of...
Well...
They have all of Super Metroid is in logic now.
And what I mentioned, getting close to possibly Dark World access through the Meridia portal, getting ever closer.
But they can now full clear this entire game before going back to Link to the Past if so desired.
Full clear all of SM, and just a Moon Pearl away from getting through the Meridia portal after beating Dragon to get to Link to the Past, Dark World that way. Could have both gloves in Dark World. Yeah, I imagine we won't see a Lower Norfair play immediately from these runners. It's definitely possible in logic. With Charge and Plasma, Ridley's also logically beatable. But they might want to opt for Screw Attack or maybe a few more Super Missiles before doing that. Meridia is probably a little bit more enticing. So Relkin cleaning up the criteria checks here with that space jump that DT did a little earlier by sequence breaking the gauntlet. Relkin's going to get his Morph Ball bombs in the front of the gauntlet, and then we'll see what he opts to do next.
He may be starting to think about grabbing the super missiles from the back of Gauntlet.
Yeah, depending on where he's going to go after this, it might be in his best bet to go down to grab those instead of backtracking to the ship. Because he's going to want to keep the Morph Ball bombs anyway, I imagine. Meanwhile, DT getting his third sword. That's tempered for him already. He's probably feeling really good about his combat in Link to the Past.
I mean, tempered sword and silvers. That's lots of combat.
Let's see, we got a raid that came in with a few viewers from SpeedGaming 5. Welcome in, guys. We've got... This is a winner moves on to brackets. Loser is eliminated match between In the Name of DT and Relkin.
Okay, so Relkin is just going to head back to the ship. And DT is heading straight into Lower Norfair.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking he might opt to delay this, not only because he could get, Screw Attack or another beam or more super missiles to make some things in Lower Norfair a little bit easier. But also, he's going to get to go check out the Mire area. I guess scouting it out is real handy. to have that information. But with no cane, with no mirror to get into desert, at least he does have the books, so he knows he can get into desert that way. But those are sometimes factors in deciding whether or not you want to do this early on.
And Relkin has returned to Link to the Past. And he flees up to Death Mountain. He may just be doing this to get to Norfair faster. Because I can't think of any other good reason for him to be at Death Mountain.
Yep, Relkin's going to checking Ice Beam location, out of logic. Gets the Mock Ball, no problem. He's gonna check Ice Beam.
It'll be in logic for him pretty soon, most likely.
Yeah, I can't imagine him doing a lot else other than going up to Bubble Mountain from this point. He's got to head over that direction if he wants to get to Crocomire. So I imagine he'll clear out all the Bubble Mountain checks, get his third sword, his gravity suit, and his speed booster. Ooh, and we get a Dark World map check. Okay, so red crystals, TR and Mire, pendants at Pod, Thieves Town, and green pendant, Ice Palace. So not exactly the thing you want to see. Not the best crystal layout.
Just some money in the Crumble Tower. And Mire is Ether Medallion. Which they have.
Yeah, no way to check the Mire Shed, unfortunately, without the Moon Pearl. Oh, and the Cane of Samaria is here.
The space jump is hard required this seed.
Yeah, luckily
for they already have it.
Exactly. Luckily, they both already have that, so that won't be an issue. It's like DT opting to fight. Gonna beat GT now, loop back around, grab the item, and then probably continue on the way to Ridley. It's too bad they don't have that Moon Pearl though, so he can't just pop out and then go into Misery Mire right after this.
Without a fire source, ooh, high jump boots. That will help with mobility.
Absolutely, that's a good find. That's a very nice GT. Yeah, without fire source, I think I know we were gonna get. You can't necessarily clear. You can sometimes clear Misery Mire if the left side ends up being not required items. Dark rooms are a little bit dangerous. Not the most fun ones in the game. And of course, you could potentially have a big key or a required item on that left side that would be unfortunate, but they can't get there anyway, so that's not relevant at the moment.
While Relkin picking up his tempered sword.
Relkin seeing nothing of value here at the speed booster item. We already saw on DT's side.
But the green boomerang still awaits him at Wave.
I've actually never noticed that. It does kind of look like a boomerang. Alright, so Relkin picking up his gravity suit, and DT looks to be continuing on his way to Ridley and the rest of these lower Norfair checks. Relkin gets his speed
Now,
booster.
Relkin gets to decide what he wants to do with all of these fancy items he just got.
Yeah, there's a couple options that all make sense here. You got the Lower Norfair checks, which obviously paying out with the Cane of Samaria. He's got the Crocomire loop that he could be doing, and he's got all of Meridia. So we'll be seeing very soon which direction he goes. DT clears out all the enemies in the way here in worst room in the game. Relkin not going to Lower Norfair. Or he is going to Lower Norfair? Indecisive. Oh, he hasn't checked out the... Did he check out the cathedral? Oh, he's taking a save. So saving here, I'm trying to think where, I don't know, that seems like an odd place to save.
And we find our first glove in Lower Norfair.
Alright, that's definitely paying out. Glove and Mickey Mouse. This Lower Norfair is pretty stacked. That's a good call. Okay, yeah, the save there, I was just going to say, that save doesn't make a lot of sense if he's going to Lower Norfair, since there's a save station right after the lava dive. But if he's going to Crocomire and ends up finding nothing, because he's saved there, he's going to be really close to just go to Lower Norfair with a reset instead of backtracking through this Crocomire area. So that actually does make a lot of sense from Relkin. I like that play.
And Crocomire about to charge Plasma to the face, and he's doomed. Looks like DT may be setting up to Crystal Flash as a way to quickly refill his health. So he grabs his power bombs from the Fireflies, whatever they're called.
He doesn't have great resources.
Charge Wave Plasma is potent.
Right, yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think he's expecting the Crystal Flash, just because of how low some of his ammunition is, but hopefully aware of that as an option. If he were to get in trouble here, he does have enough to be able to do a Crystal Flash, which is nice.
And he is going to take the save before Ridley.
Yeah, he probably
quite
wants to
understandable
preserve...
given his situation.
Definitely. He probably wants to preserve as much ammo as possible. As far as DPS goes, without the Ice Beam, since supers do double damage on Ridley, supers are definitely the fastest way to go.
Relkin just turned down the red mail.
Yeah, with blue mail, plenty of firepower on offense. You're not too worried about defense. Makes sense for Relkin to skip that. Looks like nothing of value at the cosine room, just missiles. And nothing at Power Bombs of Shame either. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Relkin...
He's going to be keeping that, most likely. It is the logically required item for him to access Shack Tool.
Yeah, at this point, it only gives him one check. And it probably isn't required. Isn't really even helpful for anything else at this point. But it makes it so he can't reset back to Upper North.
Still a fast way to kill Dragon, because we don't have an X-ray yet.
That's true. Yeah, I guess it does make that a little bit faster at this point, but still probably feels a little bit bad to have to backtrack this instead of taking that reset that he set up for. And with nothing else down here, yeah, that's not what you want to see. I guess he could use that to farm here in Lower Norfair a little bit faster before he does his Ridley fight. I imagine he'll have the same situation of wanting to fill up on health and ammo. Especially with Grapple Beam, the best spot to do it is the room following the 1DTs in here, where you can get 2 of these farm spots at the same time. You can just kind of turn back and forth, use your Grapple Beam to kill the Zebos, I think is what they're called, and pick up their drops really easily. But relkin, coming back up this way, suggests he's going to Meridia first. Okay, yeah. Doesn't want to backtrack to Lower Norfair. He's just going to escape the Crocomire area, head up to Meridia, so we'll get more divergence. Let's hope there's something good in there for relkin, since we know the DT's found a lot of good stuff here in Lower Norfair. Like the Canis Samaria, high jump boots, gloves.
True, if he were to find fire and a moon pole here, he would be able to complete Misery Mire and his trip through Lower Norfair.
Yeah. You know, I wonder if that...
Is he going to the X-ray location that he isolated earlier?
Yeah, looks like he is. And like I said, it's the closest time he's ever going to do it is on his way into Meridia Tube, so this definitely makes sense. Definitely being thorough, making sure not to leave any stone unturned. And luckily for him, it's going to be an item that he might need. I'm actually curious if Grapple Beam is something that's pushing him towards Meridia.
Well, it does let him full clear the place.
Yeah, that one extra check might be kind of like the tipping point to make that his decision here. There's certainly more overall checks than Lower Norfair, so you got to expect to have some value there. DT getting a little low on health. He's gonna have to be kind of careful here at the end of the fight. I don't know how close to death Ridley is, but I think he might be there already. Oh, and gets killed by the swoop there.
Unfortunate. Good thing you saved.
Yeah, definitely. Didn't lose too much progress. Yeah, I wish I knew the damage value of the beam combo they have versus the full beam combo with Ice Beam. To know how many shots it's going to take, it's hard to track that without all the knowledge of the damage values, which is there's just so much information in this game to keep track of. I'm not sure if DT knows that. He informed it's 750 versus 900 damage. Okay. Because I know killing Ridley, one way to do it is take down half his health with charge shots and half with supers is a nice, safe way to make it easy to count. So, like, if you had full beam combo, it'd be 10 charge shots and 15 super missiles.
Yeah, and I know full beam combo, it's the same number of shots as from Mother Brain.
Right, yeah, 20 shots total, or 10 and 15 is a nice, like, in-between. So you can pepper in some super missile shots to make it a little bit easier during the second phase of the fight. And if you're in situations like this where you're low on supers, you can't do all 30. Nothing here at Mama Turtle and Meridia. I missed whatever was at Main Street and Crab Supers. It looks like we're going to be grabbing Crab Supers here. Whatever it was is important. We'll see in just a moment. And it is boots. Okay. Pegasus boots and Crab Supers. That's real nice.
It could be required.
It could be required for Desert, or the GT Big Key, or the couple of locations it opens up, Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb once we get another glove, or Dark World access with a mirror. and just makes everything faster. That's a really good find. These Zevos, with awful luck for DT here. Okay, finally getting that last super. Hopefully he has more success with the second fight.
Meanwhile, Relkin is finding the X-ray and a small shield in Rydia, and well, he picks up the X-ray, so now he can just microwave Dragon. Right.
Looks like DT
landed 15 supers because he turned color with the last one that landed.
Yep, I was going to say the same thing. I was counting, but you can actually use the color indicator from Ridley as well to confirm exactly where you're at a few points during the fight. The first one's the easiest one to note, the first color change at half health. It's a little contrary to what you might think, but saving your super missiles for the second half of the fight might actually be more helpful for DT here, since it's harder to land charge shots than it is to land supers.
I believe Whitley is very nearly dead.
Okay, he got him down. Nice. Very well done. Yeah, well, Relkin is going to be putting that X-ray to use on Bot's wound. Didn't quite get enough damage there.
And just some Whitley ammo at Whitley.
Yeah, Relkin's just... Okay, that was enough. I wasn't sure. He was just a tiny bit late on that activation of the X-ray scope to get the full effect of the microwave on Bot's wound. But still got it done pretty quickly. Not too much trouble. Vanilla E-Tank that he's going to be picking up. Yeah, that's one advantage that Relkin's certainly going to have going into Lower Norfair with more health. Even if he doesn't find anything else here, having an extra couple of E-Tanks is going to make Ridley a lot more survivable.
Agreed.
Looks like DT not farming up too much. Still got to be a little bit careful on this Lower Norfair exit, but he does make sure that he gets at least 11 super missiles. I would imagine that is an intentional number so that he can crystal flash if he gets in trouble here. Yeah, the Three Musketeers are particularly scary. You can use some hitboxing techniques to hit them with your plasma beam as you run through them, but because their swoops are a little bit awkward and hard to read, it's not always easy to do.
Meanwhile, Relkin is facing off against Dragon, who is going to get microwaved.
Yeah, this is certainly going to be a quick fight. He could have to use the grapple beam. Microwave, I believe, is faster if he does a good job of getting it in here.
And goodbye, Dragon.
Yep,
DT
very nicely done.
Another save. Locking in that Ridley kill.
Yeah, here's where I think DT might be benefited really well by doing that crystal flash you mentioned earlier. Maybe take an intentional one hit, take a crystal flash. Oh, does not get that that key hunter killed in time. He might have just been trying to kill that key hunter to do the crystal flash. He could have to just yeah, take one hit and then backtrack into the save room is probably his safest bet, and then Crystal Flash in here before actually facing off against these key hunters and trying to make his escape.
Now Relkin's going to make his way through Cack Attack Alley, which will spit him out near the plasma beam check.
Yeah, and it looks like so Relkin didn't check the sand pits on his way into the Dragon fight. There's so many different ways to route Meridia, and a lot of them just don't feel good. It's so hard to route.
Our first fire source, the lamp. So Aghanim's in logic now.
Yeah, true. With that speed booster, put our master sword in logic. Plus, we found a tempered of an Upper Norfair, so Aghanim's definitely in logic. Just no Moon Pearl still.
Could be on the pyramid, though.
Certainly could be. Yeah, so I guess Relkin... Yeah, I'm not sure I like this idea of doing Plasma Beam before the sand pits, because he's going to have to backtrack probably down the toilet and then... Does a charge shot not hurt these pirates? Uncharged shots do. I'm really confused by Relkin. He's got his plasma beam on. Okay, that's very counterintuitive. So charge and plasma does not hurt the pirates, but uncharged shots do. And looks like Relkin's not aware of that either. I can't say that I've never tried to use charge shots on them.
Wait, why is this Relkin's most recent save? Did he just reset his Dragon?
Oh no, that's... He doesn't have his grapple beam, so he just reset the grapple behind Croc.
He just reset all of the Meridia. He just did.
His Maswoon and Dragon. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, not realizing that uncharged shots would kill those pirates, I don't think he knew how to get out of there.
He had two ways, either by using regular plasma or by holding his charge and pseudo-screw attacking them.
Yeah,
or if he's real good, you can also short charge in there.
It's really unfortunate. And because of the way he routed, he didn't check the sand pits and Shack Tool before, so he doesn't know if he needs that grapple beam still. He's obviously going to skip the grapple beam and assume it's not necessary at this point at such a huge time loss to go back, kill Croc again, just for that one item.
So we'll probably, I don't recall him getting anything especially valuable down here, except for those Boots Crab Supers, so I imagine he'll grab those and go straight for Dragon.
Yeah, he might grab the X-Ray again. I expect he'll grab the X-Ray again, especially without grapple.
True, with no grapple, that would be faster than fighting Dragon regular. Especially if you don't know the short charge method for killing him.
Yeah. Yeah, and both these runners taking unfortunate time losses pretty recently here, with DT's death to Ridley and Relkin's reset there, believing to be stuck in the plasma location. They're both probably not feeling very good about their position, but it's
but one of those
still up in the air.
One of those setbacks is bigger than the other, I think. Especially if Shack Tool has something.
Yeah, the reset seems to be a bigger time loss, but it's still very up in the air. And depending on how these runners handle these setbacks is probably more important than the actual time loss itself. If they're able to stay focused and not make any additional mistakes because of this, then they'll feel much better off. Oh yeah, and Relkin has to go back for the book as well at X-Ray, since he did this on the way to Meridia.
It's the actual shine spark from DT as he escapes the Kakamayo area.
Alright, and with DT has a couple options. He might opt to go to East Death Mountain at this point in time before dipping Meridia, especially with that book in tow. If he can get, he knows if he gets that hammer, he's going to be able to check the Ether Tablet on his way into Hera.
Or he could be thinking Hammer and Meridia.
And that could be true, and it very well could be in Meridia. We did not see Shack Tool. Oh, he also has the Ice Beam and Crumble Tower locations as well. He did not opt to sequence break these before going to Lower Norfair. I believe it was just Power Bombs and something that Relkin skipped at Crumble Towers.
High jump boots were in Mickey Mouse room. Golden Chorizo had the...
No, the Golden Chorizo had high jump. Mickey Mouse was the glove.
Oh, actually, yeah, Mickey Mouse glove,
Yeah.
Golden Chorizo. Golden Chorizo also had the Cane of Somalia.
Yes. Yeah. Both very important items.
Thank you for
High jump not required, but the Cane of Samaria required. Gold Chorizo ensures that when Relkin does go there, he will end up getting his high jump boots for sure.
Relkin is heading back towards Norfair. He may be thinking about just going straight to Lower Norfair right now. Or he goes to Link to the Past.
Probably trying to turn in that book.
He's going
right
straight
away.
to that desert play.
Yeah, this is definitely this has to be something to do with feeling behind due to that reset. He didn't find a lot of progression in Meridia, but going back for the boots makes sure that he can get at least the front of this dungeon checked. He still doesn't have a fire source though to complete it, so this is a very interesting choice to come here at this point in time. I think I understand what he's thinking, but it still seems like a bit of a gamble to come here without a fire source at this point.
He also doesn't have a glove to lift up the rock to get to the second half.
Oh, that's right, he doesn't have the glove either. So really just trying to leverage those boots and hope to get something out of those. And it is boots locked.
Only in terms of logic. If you hit go mode and didn't have boots, you could just skip that small key because the big key was in the chest.
True. Although if there is a required item on the right side, then it is still hard
Still
locked by
succeeded.
boots. Yeah, unfortunately for Relkin, he's not going to get any advantage here. DT does have the glove and does have lamp as well, correct?
Yes, lamp was found in the escape of Lower Norfair.
Yeah, so DT is going to get to just single dip Desert Palace here.
And Tower of Hera.
Yeah, if he does choose to do the basement on his first trip, I could very easily see DT skipping that item, though. That is a very long check for just one item. Looks like nothing of
But when he does find that hammer, he may be thinking, "Oh no, my opponent already got that, but I found this super awkwardly placed lamp, and maybe I can check this thing that he couldn't and gain an advantage over him."
True, that's a good point. All right, so let's see where Relkin decides to go here. Looks like he's doing front of escape, which we haven't actually seen yet. We haven't seen the front or the back of escape. I have to suspect that Relkin's going to full clear this. That he'll steal the key if necessary to do the back, since he doesn't have gloves yet still.
Well, we're about to find out. We got one chance for him to get the key out of this chest. And it doesn't look like stealing.
Okay. Well, DT picked up both the useful items that we saw here in Meridia already. The X-ray and the boots. Making his way through to the sand pits. We'll see if he checks them on the way to Botwoon or after Dragon on the way back. See how he opts to route this not dungeon, sorry. this part of the game.
This place is basically a dungeon. And our first picked up reserve tank of the game goes to Relkin. Congratulations, you're on the board.
DT taking a save here. Could be just be because of his health being as low as it is. Might not want to take a death to Botwoon or have to farm up.
That is some pretty low health.
But he might be checking the sand pits. We'll see what he chooses to do. Well, Relkin finishes off front of escape to get nothing. Setting up for the death warp though, so he's definitely going to Dark Cross, and if he's got a key there, we might see the rest of escape as well.
Fortunately for DT, once he defeats his Botwoon, he will get a full health refill from that E-Tank just beyond here.
Yeah, it's a really convenient location to have an E-Tank there. Almost like an intended spot for one. And there's the small key in Dark Cross, so Relkin's going to be continuing through the rest of Escape.
DT attempts for the halfie, but we does not quite get it. We have not yet seen King Zora checked. Silver Vein.
Correct, yeah. Both runners opted to do... They got the flippers extremely early. Didn't have very much money, so they did all the other Zora area checks and left King Zora without having to farm.
Turns out there was the key in the Dark Cross chest, so we are able to get to the back of Escape here, where we find another reserve tank.
A whole lot of not useful things at this point in time.
And DT is preparing his own microwave beam.
Yeah, while Relkin continues to push those boots, thinking that's the most out-of-the-way item he's picked up at this point, I think. Trying to leverage that as soon as possible. Checking Bonk Rocks. DT showing off that if you're crouched during that microwave kill, as soon as Dragon is dead, you stand up, so that way you know and don't continue to spam the button and slow down the death animation for any longer than you have to. Yeah, with Ridley dead, he can skip supers.
And Relkin now learns that there are missiles from the Lumberjack Cave.
With the way things have gone, if that was a required item, I would fully expect Relkin to do a Dark Aga play. But since it's... Well, I guess he doesn't have the Moon Pearl. Depending on what the item was, he might, I guess. If it was immediately progression, I think he would do that, but... Not going to do that at this point in time. Probably going to Lower Norfair instead. Which is going to probably feel a little bit bad since there's a lot of good items down here that he could have had earlier. But at the same time, it's getting him a lot closer to what he needs for go mode. He'll be getting his glove, his Cane of Samaria, and his high jump boots all down here, provided he does opt to check GT.
So as far as that Moon Pearl goes, we have the 2 sand pits that could have it. We have Shack Tool that could have it. Just the waterway location. And of course, there's that mushroom in the shaft. And Hera Basement.
That's true. I forgot about the mushroom being
And the
there.
tablet. I believe those are all the locate. And of course, Aga Pyramid Ledge. There's not a whole lot of spots for that Moon Pearl to hide, although we could get something that unlocks more locations.
Alright, we got these sand pit checks from DT. Well, Relkin goes down to Lower Norfair. This is the left side first. And nothing needed there, so he's going to reset. I imagine we'll see Shack Tool checked after the right sand pit.
And Relkin is opting to do the space jump check first into Lower Norfair, which is going to pay off for him with that Cane of Somalia.
Yeah, this makes sense. No reason to sequence break these checks if you can do it the vanilla way, especially when you have charge and plasma. You don't need to worry about using up all of your supers and then having to farm them up for
And
Ridley.
the right sand pit is required with an ice rod.
Alright, well that's good to get that out of the way. No immediate progression, but you don't want to be hunting for that. It's a good find.
Tiana's a crystal, so we need it.
Yep. Well, Relkin getting his Cane of Samaria. Checking this item before the fight. Seeing its high jump boots. Obviously going to be picking those up after he defeats Gold Chorizo, or before. That works as well.
We get to watch Shack Tool break through all these blocks while Relkin takes out Golden Chorizo.
Relkin just finding that sweet spot where he is invulnerable to all of GT's attacks. He can just stand here, spam charge shots. He would be able to do a little bit more damage if he were to crouch to ensure that he gets as many double hits as possible as that beam passes through him. But it's a pretty minor difference. Gets the fight done very quickly anyway. Nicely done. And I imagine if you don't want to see anyone any violent acts to your friends, please look away.
Sadly, DT has murdered Shack Tool. Going out of his way, slowing himself down to kill him a second time. Well, we've cut the number of Moon Pearl possible spots down by a whole lot.
Yep, looks like DT is going up to check the plasma location, and we'll see where he goes from there. Meanwhile, Relkin trying to get through this room a little bit more quickly by not killing the pirates. Having a little trouble getting up, but does a nice job on that attempt. Takes a few a few charge shots, or this beam combo, I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3 charge shots, or 3 super missiles to kill those pirates.
Oak Dragon, it is not always in Super Metroid. It could still be a Link to the Past. We could find Ica Titans and have it be in Kingston.
Or it could be in Hera Basement.
Or
Zora. Zora Mushroom. Yeah, there's quite a few spots that it could be. We could get a mirror somewhere, find it in Checkerboard Cave.
Note that none of these spots are good.
No, none of them are good. And DT having the same issue with the pirates, trying to use charge shots and realizing it doesn't work. I feel a little bit better knowing that...
Discovers the trick, though.
Okay. Yeah, I feel a little bit better knowing that I'm not the only one in broadcast that didn't know that. Luckily for DT, he's able to figure it out during the room.
If we had a mirror, we could check Checkerboard through the Lower Norfair portal.
Alright, so DT is going to be going back through the toilet to probably to the business center to go back to Link to the Past.
Either that or he's going to get those last 2 items collected out of SM. Because he may just want to be done with this game.
Yeah. Actually, no, he's probably going to East Death Mountain at this point, which again would draw him towards the business center to go through that portal, hook shot across. That's his most dense set of items that he's got available, so that's the likely place that he'll go. Probably keeping in mind that Waterway and the Criteria Supers to get that mushroom are still out there.
You'll find out real soon, depending on which way he goes, basically left or right.
Yeah, and fortunately for Relkin, losing that grapple beam early for Shacktool wasn't a problem, but it does make this farm a little bit slower, a little bit more difficult. You can't just stand there and angle down and use your grapple beam. Got a couple options, including what he's doing here, taking these jumps to pick up the drops from the Zebos.
And DT returns to Link to the Past for the East to Death Mountain checks, which will include potentially 2 items that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and I didn't realize he hasn't actually rescued the old man yet, but he gets to do it in the light. Makes it a little bit easier, especially with boots, so you don't have to worry about bonking.
However, once the old man's in tow, you better put those boots away. They will slow you down.
Let's see, Relkin's Ridley fight. I think he didn't go in with full health. He took some damage from the acid before going in, but I think he still had about an E-tank more than DT did, plus a couple reserves. So he's better shape health-wise. Same number of supers. He is opting to use that charge beam first to do some damage. And then use the super missiles once Ridley starts moving a little bit faster to make it a little easier to land those shots. I think he just needs to get grabbed at this point. He's not quite... There it is. Nicely done.
There he goes. And Ridley goes down for Relkin.
Has to stop and think if he wants those supers. He'll opt to pick them up. There we see DT pick up his hammer and the half magic. That's a helpful item. Taking the bomb jump across. Almost certainly going to do Tower of Hera at this point in time. Yeah, we're really on locations for that Moon Pearl. The Dead Rock is slowing us down, building the suspense for this Ether tablet.
Just $20 from the Ether.
Relkin's gonna have to be careful that this key hunter doesn't swoop down here. I think he's got full reserve tanks. So you shouldn't be in too much trouble. I think he's got 2 full reserves, so his health isn't as big of an issue as it looks being on just 1 E-tank. Obviously, wants to avoid popping those if he can help it. DT opting not to do the Hera pot to get to the top of this dungeon, but only a few seconds slower. Well, Relkin gets his lamp, which doesn't really give him much progression. Really, that's just the Desert Palace clear. And the Hera basement check. Oh, DT can't quite get the squeeze through that bumper, and the hole there takes a fall. I know DT uses various sprites. That might be something he's just not quite familiar with on all the sprites that he uses. It's a pretty tough one to line up if you don't have a good visual cue. That only costs him a handful of seconds as he goes into a very easy, although still sometimes trolly Moldorm fight. Once he gets him out of the corner, it should be fine.
And down Moldorm goes.
So you have to imagine that Relkin's going to be going back to Meridia, I guess? It seems like the likely choice for him. Well, DT being very thorough, grabbing this Hera basement check. Yeah, I think even with what Relkin's already cleared out in Meridian, because it's required to beat Dragon, obviously, and there are still, I'm going to say 4 locations that he can check in the sand pits. I think that's the only thing that he left that wasn't checked earlier when he was here. Is just the 4 sand pit items.
Sand pit and sand check tool.
And Shack tool, but he can't do that on this trip through. He's going to hope there's progression in the sand pits. Luckily there is, and there is not anything on Shack tool.
So, have a basement, just a peep pack.
Alright, so not where we need to go there. And Relkin is checking the sand pits this time. Probably just because he doesn't know what's in them, and he does know what's in the back half of this area. He knows what's at Precious Missiles, knows what's behind Dragon and at Plasma. I'm guessing he'll probably reset out of both of these. What would make the most sense is probably to reset out of both of these sand pits, beat Dragon, and then after Dragon, grab the right sand pit on the way back. But he could possibly grab the right sand pit, grab that ice rod, loop around, and then go to Dragon and exit through the portal to Link to the Past. That's also a viable option. I'm not really sure what would be better for him.
Looks like DT is heading to check the back of Escape. We know that that's nothing there. As we really narrow down the possible spots for that moon pill. Did we find both items in Desert, or was there one on Landmola?
I'm trying to think. I know there was is either arrow upgrade or arrows on the right side. You got the compass, the big key, the small key, and I don't remember what was in the big chest. That's the only one I don't know. It was either a map or an item, but I would imagine Relkin's not going to want to grab that. DT's got much more incentive to go to Desert Palace. I'm expecting we'll see that pretty shortly from him. I don't believe he's activated his flute yet, actually, so he'll go activate his flute here, I think. Flute to 6, clear out Desert. I think Relkin's going to be hoping that after he's done with Meridia, that the progress is here in Super Metroid, at Waterway or Shaft Supers. Or rather, the Mushroom at Shaft Supers. Which, can you remind me, Lachlan, did Relkin scout that out? I know DT scouted out the Mushroom.
I do not think Relkin scouted it out.
I don't think he did either. And it looks like he might be going that way. I don't see another reason of him going up the Red Tower at this point, since he already got his book on the second trip through. I think he's going to Waterway and Shaft Supers, and just hoping that he's going to be able to backdoor Dragon later. That actually makes a lot of sense. Actually, yeah. Okay, I like that. Not resetting that ice right away, not going to Dragon right now. You could always get Ice Beam to speed up the fight, getting a little more damage in. You know, be able to backdoor it and skip some of the transition time, not have to fight Batoon again.
Let's see if the mysterious Waterway is holding something good.
Nope. Relkin turned around for those drops, but didn't quite make it all the way through the wall first. And just 10 arrows, so Waterway's not the answer. It's almost certainly going to be checking Criteria Supers, and I would imagine turning in that mushroom almost right away. He's so close to the portal.
This is not the way to the Criteria Supers. Okay, I think he realizes that.
Good. I was... For a second, I thought maybe we missed something earlier. Like, I thought he did the wave gate glitch before picking up the wave beam and did the Spore Spawn item without beating Spore Spawn.
And yeah, there was definitely an item on Landmo. So, but I guess we'll see if Relkin decides to just immediately go turn in this mushroom.
I think he will.
Or if he decides
so
to fake powder.
Ooh, that's true. That's a really good option as well. And with Flute, both of those are pretty close by.
I mean, and he has a rod, so he can deplete his magic meter real fast.
Yeah. Yeah, with Relkin's knowledge and experience and knowing his situation, I think he's going to try to get as many checks as possible before going back to Tower of Hera. Knowing the way the items have laid out, he doesn't want to go back to Desert, doesn't want to go back to Hera right away. So I suspect he'll do that. He's going to scout this out before getting the Shine Spark. Gotta be a little careful on his health.
So he may want to dip into that reserve tank to fill up.
Yeah, and if he's doing the Shine Spark and runs down to 29 energy, even if he has reserves, they won't trigger. So he might have to crack them manually to make sure he's got enough. Smartly killing these Boyons, get him out of the way. He can comfortably jump over once he gets his charge here. And DT just makes quick work of Landmola's. Nice one cycle with the silver arrows. For an E-Tank. No Pearl yet still.
And the prophecy comes true. He did not use the reserve tank, and he ran out of energy in mid-spark.
Yeah, I didn't know the amount of energy it takes to get up there, but I've experienced that a couple places. He actually might have enough now that he popped his reserves. He's at 30 more energy than he had before, I believe.
I think we have to go murder a few pirates.
But I don't know if it's enough still. I'm not sure he does either. So yeah, gonna just farm with these pirates, go back in, kill the Boyons.
He has enough now.
Yeah, he definitely has enough now. But maybe while he's here, just gonna make sure he overdoes it rather than shorting himself by, 5 energy or something.
Completely understandable. Meanwhile, DT's gonna get his Eastern clear. Doesn't actually have an item in here, though, so it's a little curious that he's choosing to do this, unless he couldn't remember if almost had an item or not.
Yeah, that's very possible. There's, of course, still a chance that... There's a decent chance he's not going to get any items to speed this dungeon up as well. So this might be a way to just buy himself time and think about what he wants to route next. I know that's sometimes a valuable thing to have, just some time to think while you're going through a pretty straightforward dungeon that requires almost no mental effort once you've done it with this much equipment, especially. Alright, looks like Lachlan Relkin is making the play that you suggested. He's headed to Kakariko, going to be draining his magic here by spamming the lamp. It's going to take quite a while with that half magic. It's a bit unfortunate. But then he's going to do the fake powder, and probably immediately after turn in his powder. The fake powder obviously cannot have our next progression in the chain.
Unless, the mushroom turns into the powder.
Exactly.
Hilarious.
Yeah. The only thing it can do is circumvent picking up that magic powder. It could be a nice safety or convenience item here, though.
Or it could just be 3 bombs.
Yep, just bombs, so not helpful.
So yeah, we're down to just the mushroom and the pyramid.
Yep, we are now at a 50-50 Aghanim seed.
Oh, I like it going 33-way.
Oh yeah, right, Zora as well. It looks like DT is checking Zora, while Relkin's checking the mushroom. So we'll know in a matter of a few seconds if this is in fact an Aga-required seed.
Okay, it's not the mushroom.
I suspect that Relkin will check the Zora play immediately at this point in time with what he's got available. I guess he might do Desert first. Yeah, I guess Desert makes more sense. Desert is the crystal. Wow.
It's not Zora! Oh,
So
no.
it is AGA required. We find out at 2 hours and 2 minutes in.
By process of elimination.
Yep. And you know what? It might not even be the Moon Pearl on the pier. Keep that in mind.
Could be Titan's Mitts.
Could be Titan's Mitts. Could
One
be
check.
a mirror. Mirror opens.
Mirror gets us one check.
Could be the shovel for digging up the Moon Pearl.
But before we do any of that, DT wants to do the front of escape first.
Yeah, DT still has front of escape.
Completely rational. But
This is the smart play for DT. He got the map in the back of escape as well already. He's going to find out when he does the front that the small key is locked in Dark Cross. He's going to save a little bit of time not having to do that. Although he's going to have to either Death Warp, which is going to be very slow with Red Mail, or probably better to just save and quit and come back into the front of the dungeon. I would guess before doing this, Relkin is going to do the Hera Basement and the Ether Tablet. But we'll see what he opts to do after Desert Palace. I think those are his only checks left as well.
He's too exhausted to pay the Zora.
Oh, that's right. He didn't do Zora. Yeah, DT did not opt to go back to Shaft Supers to get that mushroom. But at this point, I mean, both these options feel bad. Whether after he gets front of escape, he might go back to grab that mushroom and turn it in, but I don't know.
DT is setting himself up for the Death Warp by getting beaten up by this ball and chain guard.
Okay. Yeah, the ball and chain guard, he's still with Red Man, only does a quarter heart of damage, so it's still a very slow Death Warp. I think that's the same damage that the green guard does. It's hard to say whether or not it's faster than the save and quit.
Now, will he go through Dark Cross because he doesn't realize there's a key there?
That's also an option. That's a very easy mistake to make. You're absolutely right, Lachlan. And it looks like he does. He's going to feel a little bit bad when he gets this key here. He's definitely not going to set up a Death Warp again now that he's got a full 7 hearts. I think he only had about 4 going into the dungeon, something around there. 5, maybe.
Well, he still does have those 2 Super Metroid checks left to make, so he'll probably save and quit out of this. Get those done, and then come to the realization of the crushing horror that is Aghanim.
He could opt to just reset straight away out of there, because the Death Warp to get back to the front of Hyrule Castle was is always a save and continue. But save and quits, then resets, works just the same. And yeah, by resetting and not just doing a save and quit, definitely suggests he's going to check walkway, grab that mushroom. Runners really don't want to do Aga for the pyramid ledge check. I wonder why. Meanwhile, Relkin grabbing the 2 checks as opposed to the 1, just playing the odds. I mean, these runners are both playing the odds. Absolutely makes sense to put off Aga. It's literally 1 check. It's incredibly slow. It feels really bad if it's not the item.
Alucard 2004, Relkin has checked all of Meridia, but he accidentally reset it.
DT is going to Mother Brain. That's not what I expected. Oh, he can check it on the way out. That's a really heads-up play. I didn't even consider that. He's gonna check. He's gonna get his mushroom on the way out of his Mother Brain escape.
What away?
Well, he's gonna bank on the mushroom, I guess. That's a pretty cool play. I like it. He doesn't have Ice Beam, so that's the biggest factor here is no Ice Beam. So the Mother Brain fight's going to be a little slower than if he did have it, just because of less damage output. And of course, these Metroids require 3 power bombs to kill. Definitely going to add a handful of seconds to each one of these rooms. But otherwise, he's fully decked out. I guess Screw Attack makes the escape a little slower. not having that. Might take a hit or two from some pirates, but otherwise, yeah, this isn't even not much he could find to really speed this up too much.
Yeah, the biggest thing would again just be the ice beam for more damage to Mother Brain and killing these guys faster.
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm not sure if DT knows Zeb Skip, so he can't opt to use Ice Beam to do that.
The speed boost method is pretty tricky.
Yeah, the short charge is very difficult to get it with Speed Booster. Ice Beam makes it significantly easier, but it still definitely takes some practice to get a handle on. Relkin finding his power bombs in Era Basement. And I think he's going to go to Aga at this point in time. I think that's all he's got left. Unless he didn't do Zora yet. Okay, I thought he did Zora before that Era play.
Looks like Relkin is, yep, he's going for the Aga. We get to find out what's on that ledge.
Obviously, these runners are hoping for Moon Pearl. At this point, I'm hoping for Moon Pearl as well. I think this is trolly enough that we could just release them here and not have them go back to, you know, checkerboard or dig spot or anything silly like that.
Nah, I'm thinking a shovel into mitt, into a mirror, into checkerboard.
You know, your chain's pretty trolly, but actually that might be better for them.
I know the mitts alone would make it worthwhile.
Yeah, because then they're gonna have those items going into, you know, the Dark World. They're gonna have mitts, mirror, hammer. If your prophecy does come true.
So they'd be mostly looking for a fire rod at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. There's not much else they could need. Potentially the Bombos medallion to get into Misery Mire or Turtle Rock.
Well, we know Mire, so it's just Turtle Rock. That could be it. It is a 1 in 3.
He has plenty of missiles. You don't have to worry too much about these Zebs.
He doesn't have that much access to get past the very, I guess, Mother Brain 1.
Oh, I guess that's true. He's still got Mother Brain 1. Never mind. I wasn't even thinking. He probably...
He has enough, but it's not a big margin. Yeah, although worst comes to worst, you know, he gets to run back, refill his missiles.
Yeah, I want to point out something I saw in chat a little earlier. Somebody pointed out that luckily DT opened the power bomb door on the way to Shaft Super's item, because the rainbow beam here is going to drain all of his ammunition. So if he hadn't already scouted it out, he would have had to go back to the ship and refill anyway, and it would have lost some of the efficiency.
See how many blue balls we get from Aga.
From Aga with meatballs from Mother Brain at the same time. I can't say I've ever seen a race where we have Aga 1 and Mother Brain at the same time. And it's a close race. It's not that it's someone running away with the seed. DT's gotta be a little careful. Can't take too many more of those catcher beams, but I think he's through Mother Brain 1 here, or 2. Okay.
Yep, he took the exact number of catcher beams he needed.
Okay. He was probably counting a lot better than I was, since I'm looking at both screens.
And down goes Aga 1.
I think that was just one blue ball.
That's all I saw.
That's not bad. I don't believe... Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe the blue balls are standardized between the runners and the SMZ3 seeds.
Last I checked, they are not. And someone in the chat is saying they were too.
2 blue balls. Okay, yeah. I didn't see an additional lightning phase.
Is the moon pearl on the Aga land?
All right, there it is. He will have to jump down before he turns into a human again. Officially have Dark World access. And now Relkin has to decide where he wants to go with this. Still can't do Swamp Palace. Could do Pendant Pod here. Can't do Skull Woods. You can't really do most of the dungeons. That's the biggest thing about this. Really unfortunate to have so much available, and all of your crystal dungeons are not completable.
So as far as crystals go, we could grab Misery Mire by going back through Lower Norfair again. Still, leaving out.
Yeah, true. That's true. Did I can't recall if Relkin scouted out the entry requirement for Misery Mire. I know we saw it on DT's side, and the Ether Medallion, so both runners do have that. I'm not sure if Relkin knows that that's what it is. I'm sure he doesn't want to do all that travel time through Super Metroid to get there. He's got so many other checks. Going to Pod right away is a little bit of an interesting choice. I'm curious to know if that's possibly influenced by that reset. Might feel like he's behind. And not only had the reset, but is absolutely last locationing his Moon Pearl.
Who would not last location that Moon Pearl by a method other than simply forgetting something exists?
There's an argument to be made for maybe doing that before Hera Basement. But that's about the only one I can think of that I would do.
Hera Basement and the Ether Cheblet combined, though, I mean.
Right, yeah. If Relkin had the book but not the lamp before going up to Hera, I could very easily see him doing Aga before Hera Basement, especially without the mirror, having to go all the way around East Death Mountain. It's a little slower. We could potentially see DT do Aga before going back to Waterway, since that's going to be isolated with the route he's opted to do here.
Hey, the Fire Rod.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes this pod play definitely worth it.
Yep, pod is required. So we still need a mirror and possibly a bombos, and of course we need meds. And yep, here we are. We're getting the play we talked about. Except the door is locked again because it's a different room state.
Oh, I didn't know the door relocked.
Neither did I, but I'm pretty sure that's why it does.
Okay, well, I'm learning all kinds of things about this game today.
I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen this situation come up.
Yeah, and looks like our runner's also learning these things. Charge and plasma does not kill the plasma pirates. Only uncharged plasma shots. That door locks itself again in the escape. Good to know. So, not sure why DT's saving here. He's gonna have to go to the ship to refill anyway.
And then leave once he gets the mushroom, so...
Yeah, and he can't do Waterway without at least one power bomb.
I guess he could always hope he picks one up on the way.
Yeah, once he gets one power bomb and can do Waterway, he'll get 2 power bombs back from the.
Nice jump from Relkin.
Yeah, nicely done to get here to the Dark Maze. Since he has the big key and the small key already, this is definitely the most efficient way to do the back half of pod. I don't know if these Kagos drop power bombs. I know they drop everything else, but I know a lot of enemies don't have power bombs in their drop pool.
As Alico points out in chat, there is a room that he can fill up on power bombs coming up here.
That's right. I've definitely never gone in that room in SMZ3 seed before. I forgot it exists. But the one to the left here at the bottom, right? Yeah.
DT knows about it, so... Yeah, there's the power bomb he needs.
Okay. And a couple other ones just for good measure. I guess he might not be sure if that door... Well, no, he still only needs one, I suppose. He's gonna get the 2 free ones in Waterway, but... Might be faster than using a bomb for something, so that works out. Yeah, it's worth pointing out that DT does still get to carry this Hyper Beam until he... I don't know if a reset fixes it, but I know switching games and coming back definitely turns off the Hyper Beam, gives him back his usual beam combos. Relkin going all the way through pod. This Helmosaur is a bit out of the way. That's...
But it does have an item. We've gotten all the trash items.
I'm still not sure that I agree with this play, since you've already gotten progression here that gives you, you know, at least 1 crystal dungeon is required for another.
Yeah, Skull Woods is pretty crummy as far as item distribution goes.
But it's so close to Village of Outcasts, Thieves Town.
It is close to those, that is true.
And with Flute and with having to Death Warp here, just to reset the dungeon and get to Helmosaur, plus having Flute, Boots, you know, Hammer, Glove, to get back to pod quickly, I'm not sure this is worth the time investment for Relkin, but...
we're about to find out.
He's opting to be thorough.
We may be about to find out. Could be worth it for an entirely different reason. Oh, this is the green. This is green pendant too, I believe. So
okay, that was a sword. I couldn't even see it in the explosion. It was a yellow sword and a yellow explosion. That's his gold sword. So that's.
Yes, that was actually a 2-item check though, because that was green pendant, I believe.
No, the green pendant is Ice Palace.
Okay, I can't see apparently.
Yeah. So not turning in. Obviously, yeah, he's not turning in the pendant, suggesting that was in fact.
Ice Palace pendant means that Mitts cannot be at the pedestal, but Mira still could.
Mir still could. I imagine he'll check that on... He's doing Skullwoods right now is the clear choice. Do Skullwoods. Mir... Oh, you can't mirror check the pet. You can check the pet on the way in, I suppose. DT showing these Boyons are obnoxious. We'll see how he opts to do this room. Yeah, he could charge his Shine Spark to the left.
Yes, Gaiden, this is a one that goes to the brackets match. The pedestal is just a super missile.
I don't know if he's gonna have enough time doing it this way, and doesn't have enough power bombs to kill the Boyons, or enough supers. I don't know if regular missiles damage them. The best bet for DT here is probably just you can charge the Shine Spark running right to left, charge it right before the door, and then run back and just jump over with your blue suit. I personally find that to be the easiest way to do it if you're not able to case. You have a very limited amount of time to do what he's doing, but nicely done.
And he gets his mushroom and will be prepared to be very sad shortly.
Yeah, he'll be very unhappy. When he inevitably has to do Aghanim. To answer in chat, the mushroom does nothing. Unfortunately, it was not anything worthwhile. And I do believe after this mushroom turn in the name of DT, will only have the Aghanim to check the pyramid ledge to find his Moon Pearl left.
That way we can get the fake powder first, though.
Oh, right. He's also opting to fake powder. Makes sense. Relkin did this earlier. We know this is nothing as well. Apart from a 3-pack of bombs.
But it is quite logical to do this to convince the Aghanim has the magic powder possibility.
Yeah, that's true. Or even if the mushroom turned into powder, which turned into Moon Pearl, it would be I guess not really worth it because you just do these in the opposite order, but wouldn't feel too bad about it. Relkin's sword beams look like they're getting in the way of this Mothula fight. He did a nice setup. I don't know if he got the double hit at the start of the fight, but then it looks like one of his slashes was eaten by the sword beam, doing a lot less damage to Moth. Still
in any case, down goes Mothula.
Yeah, still cleaned up nicely. But her sword's only 4 slashes, so it's a pretty easy fight once you get Mothula to get off the spikes. Which is only somewhat controllable by the player. DT taking a moment to think about, did I miss anything? Do I really have to do this? Is the seed really this bad?
The answer is yes.
It is really this bad. I missed if there was anything under the bridge here in Skull Woods from Relkin. He's got a Death Warper take the walk back, chooses to walk out, try to preserve some of his health.
That'd be a bit of a lengthy Death Warp, even though he only has blue mail.
Yeah, the spikes still do a full heart of damage, so those wouldn't be too bad. Actually, the Gibdos still do as well, so it wouldn't be the worst. But when you Death Warp, it doesn't refill your health back up all the way, so I think that might be a factor as well. It only restores a certain number of hearts, which varies depending on your max. So this allows him to be a little bit safer through the rest of this dungeon, and then going into Thieves Town, which I imagine next.
Correct. We still do not know if Bombos is required by your blood. We can't learn that information until we get the mitts.
Yeah, it's not required for Ether, not required for Ice Palace, but might be for Turtle Rock. Roughly finding nothing on Bumper Ledge. Heading to Village of Outcasts. Looks like Relkin delaying going into the Pendant Thieves Town for as long as he can, hoping to find value here. We'll see, possibly dependent on the item layout in Thieves Town, whether or not he chooses to full clear it. DT leaving behind that magic refill. Not that he needs magic for this fight, but it probably makes the refill animation after the kill fast enough that it would be worth it to pick up.
Hard to say, really.
Oh, okay. I'm being corrected. There's no refill animation since he doesn't have the Moon Pearl, so that's not a factor. I never knew that. It's not often that I kill Aghanim without the Moon Pearl.
And we get our first shield pickup of the game. Get off, fight a shield in Thieves Town. We, of course, abandoned a shield in Meridia.
Yeah, these guys definitely don't need all the shields. 1 or maybe 2 might be helpful. They all have their uses in rooms, but not really very important.
Yeah, this is one of those fancy 3D Zeldas where the shields actually do something.
Alright, Relkin very obviously setting up for the Death Warp here. Nothing of value. I don't know if that was 2 or 3 items in the front. I think it was just 2. So you had the big key, the small key, piece of heart, and then something else.
I thought it was just 1.
Was the other one the compass or map?
I think so. We'll find out soon. We'll have to menu at some point.
I saw it. I know I saw it on the screen, and I thought, that's not important, and I forgot what it was immediately.
see the blooper.
I like that the sprite doesn't actually turn side to side. Just front to back.
And back to Cheep Cheep we go.
Let's see where DT opts to go. He could go to pod here, and it looks like he's undecided. Do I want to dip pendant pod? Do I want to go to hype cave? And makes the play to hype cave. Okay.
Although we do know that he has to step foot in bot at some point to get that fire rod.
Yeah, we know that's going to be required. This might be good for him if he ends up getting to do pod and not full clear it later.
So if that's his go mode item, then...
Yeah, or even if he gets mirror before he goes there, could speed up a little bit. Not having to do any death warps makes routing a little bit simpler.
Well, we get our cape. Which,
unfortunately, we know there's nothing on bumper, yeah.
Although it is a logical way for them to go through Spike Cave, because neither runner opted to pick up the Cannon for Burner in the left sand pit.
That's a good point, yeah. That was left behind, probably because the runners probably felt safe about that, knowing they have a bunch of bottles. They would be able to catch fairies or buy potions to refill, even if they didn't find the cape in that Spike Cave, if necessary. But cape and half magic, that's going to be easy. There's that powder.
So we have one more chance for an item. Oh, no, Blind has the thing. It's time to die.
Yeah, Blind has the map.
That is correct. You cannot swim in bunny form, normally.
Did Relkin check the pedestal?
Yes. It's a super mistyle. DT has not yet checked it.
Okay. DT's the one that didn't check it. I know we only saw it once. I don't recall who did that. So that makes sense. He knows pedestal's nothing. Nothing of value at the dig game. We just saw it was a piece from DT, and we'll see that again immediately from Relkin. So yeah, not really anything good in Thieves Town, Village of Outcasts area.
Looks like DT's going to be making that pod check after all. It is a pretty dense location, given what little they actually have available to do right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. He went to the most dense location. So Relkin opted to do this a little bit more. I guess Relkin still had to save and quit and re-enter the Dark World. So they're both ending up with the same thing. Same number of save and quits. DT went to Hype Cave, a little bit more densely located area first.
As it stands, the areas we haven't seen yet are Catfish and the Mire Shed, I believe.
Yeah, Catfish, Mire Shed, and Mire itself. We can get into Mire and actually full clear that as well, logically. Of course, they're gonna have to go the long way.
The old dipping back into SM after killing with a brain. I believe Relkin is taking this opportunity to go ahead and get his Dragon kill. He's already checked all the item locations in Lydia, except for a Shack Tool.
Yeah, that's a good call from Relkin. Oh, I guess Relkin didn't last location Aghanim, technically, since he still had Shack Tool left. He just didn't want to backtrack all the way through Croc to get his grapple beam.
Yeah, Aghanim is faster than doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we found the scenario.
I hope that doesn't weigh on his mind, knowing that's still out there. I mean, he should be mostly relieved at this point, but he knows there's still a chance that's something. But yeah, this makes a lot of sense from Relkin, because he's going to get to do Dragon, and then
Okay, so
He can
DT
take
has
the whirlpool.
the only thing in here worth grabbing. Like the butter sword is not worth doing this whole dungeon.
Yeah, absolutely not. I imagine he'll at least check the rest of it up to Helmasaur. May or may not opt to kill Helmasaur King. But I was going to mention, yeah, Relkin's going to probably take the Whirlpool to Catfish after this Dragon kill. He's going to pop back out of Meridia into Link to the Past and get that check done. It's one of the few we have left that could be progression.
Now, if that grapple works, he will have to fight Dragon some way that's not microwave or grapple beam. I'm thinking just charge plasma shots are the most likely. But it looks like he wants to try short charging.
Unfortunately, getting grabbed by the goop. Missed those super missile shots. Yeah, this isn't the hardest short charge, but it still requires some good timing and understanding of how this mechanic works. It's definitely more difficult than his other options of killing Dragon here, but certainly faster. Unfortunately, getting grabbed again. And I don't think that connected. He got the short charge and missed the hit. That's really unfortunate, but Dragon is almost dead. There it is, okay. Yeah, Relkin could opt to, after this, stay in Super Metroid, as pointed out in chat, and just track through Lower Norfair to get to that Mire area. That might be his choice after this as well. He's clear out all of Lower Norfair, but... Sorry, what's that?
It's that he goes for Catfish. Or for Shacktool.
Yeah, I think we've already established the Shacktool is not something Relkin wants to do at this point, but it could be weighing on his mind. Meanwhile, DT is finished up with Pod. Going to be checking the pedestal, doing Skull Woods into.
I think we got a Catfish coming up.
Yeah, looks that way. Catfish is certainly quicker to get to than any of those Mire area checks, as far as just straight travel time, and he can always just choose to save and quit back to Death Mountain and get to Lower Norfair that way. And this seed has been very limiting.
So do you think it's going to be Catfish, or do you think it's the bonus trip through Lower Norfair?
I think it's going to be in Mire itself.
Spicy.
Yeah, that's my guess. Obviously, it's just as likely that it's in the Mire shed, but having all the items for Mire so early suggests to me that it's got progression in there.
Well, it's going to be a while until we get any new information. So, chat, if anyone has any questions, now is an excellent time to ask.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to measure as this goes on how close these runners are, since keep in mind, everybody that's watching, if you didn't see it or if you've forgotten that In the Name of DT did already green a beat. So, although he's a lot further behind on his Link to the Past checks, he does have that progression done, which is a pretty substantial amount of time over Relkin.
Oh, we forgot about Spike Cave.
Yep, definitely forgot about Spike Cave.
Relkin did not. It could be saved from... I mean, this is an automatically terrible location. And it's our third shield find.
Alright, well, that's not helpful. To answer a good question, chat, obviously there's some trolley questions. Is going to answer the save and quit does not take you to Pyramid after Agate unless you have Mirror. In the randomizer, it could get you in a situation where you'd be locked out of checks otherwise, if you had to get back to Light World to get your Mirror, for example. So that's a safety precaution there.
That's good. We can...
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Pedestal had a super missile, someone was asking.
Yes. So, not required. Not going to be getting that. To answer another question in chat, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Same.
Also, I don't know why you'd want Metroid, or I said Metroid. Wow, why would you want Samus to crawl? Because the question asked why can't Metroid crawl? Why would you want Samus to crawl?
Because Metroids float. That's why they can't crawl. They're busy floating.
I imagine that Samus and the Metroids can crawl if they wanted to, but like, why would they? They have much cooler ways to transport and get around. Alright, so Relkin, again, probably feeling pretty bad about this. Basically last locationing, progression again, here in the Mire area. But it just is the logical thing to do. He's made a lot of smart routing choices that just haven't worked out. It's been very sparse the way the seed's been doling out our progression.
Remember that while In the Name of DTD may be a bit behind on his Link to the Past checks compared to Relkin, he does have Mother Brain Dead. So it's still a very close race.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it'll be easier to get a grip on that, on how close it is exactly once we get... Obviously, there's going to be some more divergence, I'm sure, from our runners. And some differences in their routing through dungeons, what items they do end up picking up, or in what order. But it'll be a lot easier to tell how close this is later on.
And Mitt's in the Mire Shed.
All right. Well, hey,
so
now
we can get back here real easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, at least we don't have to go through it again for a checkerboard cave check.
Yeah, and that it gives us quite a lot we can do now. So we can get through Green Pendant Ice Palace at this point. That always is a good option to have on the table. It puts us potentially just one item out of go mode now for that mirror we need for Swamp Palace. Yeah, technically they could have Super Bunnied that cave, but that's a really difficult one to do. That Mimic Cave, you can get Super Bunny status in there, but you have to either take damage as you're entering the cave, which is really difficult when the Dacto, I think is what it's called, does a pretty significant amount of damage. It's kind of difficult to manipulate to hit you on the right timing. And you don't have the mirror. The mirror you can use to do that as well, but if these runners didn't have the mirror, they wouldn't be able to do that, mirroring at the same time they're entering the cave to get Super Bunny. luckily for Relkin, he can finish off the dungeon while he's here. Hopefully not have to come back to this mire area unless he needs Checkerboard Cave, but even then, it'll be a quick trip.
So thanks to those Smiths, we can go to Dark Death Mountain, and check what we need for Turlock, and if we have it, we can clear it. So I'd probably make that my first check, actually. Once he's done with this mire.
I absolutely agree. Not only is it a crystal dungeon you can potentially clear, not being able to clear it is good knowledge to have, and all the other checks surrounding it in Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave it's our most dense chunk of items we've got left, so I definitely foresee Relkin doing that.
So naturally, whatever we need is going to be on the Smith chain.
Oh yeah, because that's exactly what the runners need, a mirrorless Smith chain to get the mirror. Well, there's our Bombos medallion, so now they know they can clear Turtle. Makes that even more likely. And as it's mentioned in chat, they know that Mimic Cave, which is the only location they can't access, Mimic Cave and the floating island, they know those two locations can't have the mirror since they're both mirror locked. So there's nothing they're going to be leaving behind with this final item check clear of Death Mountain. Ooh, Relkin doing a nice nice trick there. I don't exactly know the name for that. It's basically the same concept as using the door state. They use an icebreaker to just run through that ledge. Makes it faster to get around here than just walking. It's really rare that works out. But very well done from him.
And DT is going to be heading towards the catfish, which we know is nothing. And there's our second item in Maya, some super missiles.
Oh yeah, DT left Helmasaur King. Actually, he did what I was thinking, and what I probably would have done myself is clear the rest of this dungeon, and instead of death warping and going back all the way to Helmasaur for one item. But unfortunately, with everything he's checked, there's so few things left for him to do. This isn't a bad option to return. Too bad it's just going to give him the gold sword. I think if you've already chosen to leave at this early, I would maybe have done the catfish check first. Not only is it faster to get to, but you haven't kind of isolated it. But it definitely makes sense to do both of these before going back through Lower Norfair. Meanwhile, I missed it. I didn't see if Relkin got the spooky setup in Mire. It's always a fun one to see. I don't know if he got it or not. Either way, made quick work through the back of the dungeon, making quick work of Vitreous with the silver arrows. Not sweating this fight at all.
So that is 5 crystals for Relkin.
Yep, 5 crystals. I imagine he'll be on his way to Death Mountain Turtle. We mentioned earlier, that's just almost inarguably the best thing that he's got left. DT making quick work with Helm Sword King. That Tempered Sword, it's easy. Doesn't even have to switch to his Silver Arrows. Finish it off. Get his Butter Sword.
Okay, and he didn't save and quit, so I believe Catfish is now on the menu. But we're about to get a whole bunch of checks into the lock over on Relkin's side. Although he may opt to do Super Bunny and Hookshot Cave first. I wouldn't, but he might.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Depending on where the mirror ends up being, if it is in one of these two, either in the dungeon or elsewhere on Death Mountain, it could have to be faster to do one or the other, but I'd go ahead and do Turtle Rock first. You might stumble upon it on your way through the dungeon while you're still picking up the required keys, so definitely makes a lot of sense to do this first. And yeah, it looks like Bombos was required, so definitely have to get that out of Misery Mire. I don't foresee that getting skipped by in the name of DT, but there is a potential that he might route that dungeon a little bit differently, not pick up the Bombos Medallion. Actually, that was in the Vanilla Big Key chest, so I guess there's a chance. If he routes the dungeon differently, gets the other item, he might gamble that the second one is on Vitri.
That could be extremely punishing.
Yeah, if he goes Compass chest into the lobby chest, and then gets the big key, opens the big chest, and then the one to the left of it to get his super missiles, he might have an issue there. I don't expect that based on DT's play in general. He's been thorough, and even with the mitts, you still don't want to have to come back there for one item. So I doubt that's a risk he's going to take, but it is certainly an option. Well, DT not picking up anything of value really here. Got some supers, a couple of keys. You see DT continuing to clear these one-off checks and Link to the Past as expected before doing that backtracking through Lore and Orfair.
DT is now, however, making the choice to go to Metroid, which means Lower Norfair, and he will get his mitts at the very least.
Yep, he'll be grabbing his mitts. We'll see Relkin continue to clear out Turtle Rock. Was that a Vanilla Big Key?
No, Big Key was...
Big Key was earlier, yeah. He just got a small key in that chest to recoup the one that he spent.
And DT is farming?
I would expect the DT's going to do the Green Gate glitch to go that way around to the Mire area.
I'm pretty sure it's slow if you have to farm up first.
Probably. But I'm guessing that's what he's thinking, to save a little bit of time looping around. But yeah, with GT dead, you don't really need to worry about the time loss one way or another, since he's already opened that entry point. Might just be more, familiarity or his usual route. Still looking through Turtle Rock. We've got the laser bridge checks. Some nice laser skips by Relkin. Doesn't get hit by any of the lasers. Still do... I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 hearts with the blue mail, but it's...
3, I believe.
DT going for this green gate glitch. And gets it, not too much trouble, nicely done. It's one of those tricks that it's so hard to get consistent with. Some days you get it your first try, sometimes you get it your 8th try, and it just kind of... You never know what to expect.
Relkin is taking on Trimax. Very efficient work on those first 2 heads.
Nice backdoor strat, just barely too slow to get the 0 cycle. Has to dodge that 1 attack for the first explosion here. Very nice phase 2, cleaned it up really quickly. DT obviously grabbed his mitts and entering into Misery Mine.
Now we'll get the rest of Dark Death Mountain. And then from there he has a few choices to make. He can choose to go to Ice Palace, to Green Pendant, so that's 4 items. Do the mirrorless Smith Chain, and we do Kingston. And unfortunately take a small fall to feel a little bit silly.
And nothing to make it worth going back around for.
Do I have 2 items in Super Bunny?
Yeah, Relkin also has a Pyramid Fairy available now that he's done Turtle Rock and Misery Mire, the 5/6 crystals, that's correct.
That might be quite the tempting play. He's certainly starting off, he's either going to that or he's going to Ice Palace. Based off of this start.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, both are about... Yeah, all of his checks are kind of clustered equally. So he doesn't really have an obvious choice here, I don't think, but it's certainly not a bad option. Ice Palace, he could get the items all up front.
Pyramid Fairy wins.
Yeah, he's opting with the Pyramid Fairy.
Well, he can't get all of them up front. One of them's off the Green Pendant from Cold Stare.
Oh, that's true. So he would have to, if he's committing to ice, he's going to commit to it. But that does give an extra item.
And DT will be getting his bombos here.
Okay. That's good. That's what I had expected. Relkin showing off some neat strats here by using the either the damage from these enemies or the hook shot and dashing immediately after taking damage or immediately after getting attached to something with the hook shot. You can dash with the big bomb in tow. Speed things up a little bit.
Let's see what's inside this pyramid. And there's our go mode.
Well, okay.
So
here it is.
Relkin has Turtle Rock up on DT as well as having that go mode mirror, whereas DT has Mother of Turian on Relkin. Who would you say has the lead?
Man, I don't know. It's hard to say at this point.
It could depend on when DT goes to check get that pyramid fairy. Like if he decides to do Smith Chain first, I'd say he's behind.
I agree. If DT goes to Smith Chain, if he goes to Smith Chain or Ice Palace before doing Pyramid Fairy, I think that gives Relkin the lead for sure. But there's still quite a bit left to go. Definitely too early to call still. It's also always the execution and just the routing decision of going through Ganon's Tower. And the execution that Relkin has in Turian. Or the possibility, as I don't want to curse the runners, but of a silly death. I know pretty safe dungeon here with what he's got, but DT is low on hearts.
No items left for SM that are needed. Relkin is in full go mode.
Nothing that's needed. Screw Attack might help him out in the escape. Might make that a little bit easier for him.
And Ice would make it a bit faster.
Yeah, Ice Beam certainly makes the Metroid rooms faster. I'm not sure if Relkin knows the Zeb skip, but it would enable him to do that with Ice Beam. Speed up that room as well. And just add damage output for Mother Brain to give him a few less shots that's required in Phase 2. But the Metroid rooms are the big advantage there, saving I don't know, somewhere around 30 seconds or so, I would say. I'm not the expert on timing.
It's true, Necro. And looks like we can see some diver down action here from Relkin.
Nicely done.
Letting him speed up this go mode dungeon even more.
Yeah, a little surprising he doesn't check those two chests. You could make an argument for it either way. I guess since it's just Ice Beam, really, that's the big thing. If he's going to do Zeb Skip, if he gets Ice Beam and is planning on Zeb Skip, Screw Attack would actually hurt him. It doesn't really speed up anything.
DT is making the correct play and going straight to Turtle Rock. And possibly doing the other caves up here first.
Yeah, if he doesn't do them first, I'm sure he'll do that instead. Either way, I can't foresee DT leaving anything behind on this Death Mountain trip.
Oh, hey, Ice Beam. Off
right.
August.
That's good for Relkin.
Sure is.
All right, well, now he definitely doesn't want to check anything. The Screw Attack at most saves a couple seconds to make the pirates easier to deal with in the escape.
Alright, everybody. Get your guesses in the chat, 1 through 22. Where do you think this big key is gonna be? My guess, 19.
I'll say 10. I'll say 10. Nice round number.
Alright.
with that ice beam, I'm guessing we won't see any of the chests at the top of Ganon's tower. I don't see any reason why Relkin would check them. Unless he or DT ends up low on health for some reason, there's always the option that they might open a chest or two looking for that, either Sanctuary Heart or another piece of heart to give them a refill.
Here we go, we got the Room of Hope.
And no hope in the Hope Room, not even a small key. Relkin's forced to go back to the left. Which honestly is kind of nice. Your decision's made for you.
Nothing on the torch. That's the way we see it. He doesn't have to pick it up for it to count. Except in the credits.
Bunch of small keys and an E-Tank here in the Stalfos room.
An E-Tank will make them take a bit longer for the baby to drain all of his health. Assuming no baby skip.
Yeah, for sure. It might save Relkin from having to take a refill of the ship, though. I don't remember where his health was when he last left Super Metroid, but it does refill his health, so that could be a time save as well. Unless, of course, he wants to refill his ammunition and decides to refill anyway. That's always a possibility. Relkin making a heads-up play here, dropping his bombs so that he has the correct number going up the tower, which will make it so it potentially saves. It makes the menu slightly faster to switch to your fire rod during the Ganon fight. It's a minuscule time difference, but every little bit counts.
We are in the rando room, and we find the key. I believe that is chest number 12. See if anyone posted 12. Nobody wins! Oh wait, Oak Dragon said 12 earlier. Congratulations to Oak Dragon! We have won precisely nothing.
Yeah, we see Relkin not even opening that last chest in the rando room. Just, there's not a single thing he could use that would help him out here. I guess red mail? Where was the red mail that DT picked up?
It was in Super Metroid, down near Crockermire. Relkin saw it and immediately chose not to grab it.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so he knows that's not up here. Making quick work with the gauntlet. Taking a few hearts of damage, but not too bad. Very well done. And once you're through the gauntlet, you're through the dangerous parts of this dungeon, so nothing to worry about. It does miss one of his shots on land mode 2. A little tougher than the first one since you have to avoid the fireball from the Medusa. Nice cleanup. Second phase. You see DT also getting the 1 cycle from Trinex, missing the 0 cycle as well.
DT cutting it a bit close there with his health on Trinex.
Yeah, that's a little concerning, but he gets it through. He makes it through, and it's the map for his Rebels, and more importantly, the red crystal that is required to get his mirror and into GT, of course.
And Relkin has disposed of all of his missiles.
Yep, we see him using the last bomb there, so it automatically switches him to his magic powder. And then it's only one menu back to get to the hook shot. It does take a fall on Moldorm, though, unfortunately. DT finishing up his Death Mountain checks here. This will be really big to see where he goes next.
If it's anywhere but Pyramid, he's in big trouble.
Yeah, looks like it's
But
not
it's looking like Pyramid.
Okay, yeah.
It's not Kingstomb, it's not Smith.
Yeah, equipping the hammer suggests that he's going to Darker Portal here and going to Pyramid Ferry. That's good for DT. Nice Aga 2 from Relkin. Yeah, the triple double. This Ganon fight for Relkin is nothing to worry about. Doing some nice dash strats. He's got a number of ways he can do this. It only takes 6 slashes per phase with Butter Sword. Slashes or dashes or spins, however he wants to do it. See DT picking up his mirror and hitting go mode.
Ganon busy trolling Relkin here with a whole bunch of teleports.
Delaying there nicely to set up a good double hit on Ganon to finish off phase 4.
And now each player has earned 1 G. Okay, in total.
And it seems like Relkin's got an advantage here, but it definitely depends on execution. Swamp Palace is also a very quick dungeon. It's very underrated dungeon to go mode. It kind of feels like a long dungeon, especially if you're full clearing it, but DT's going to get this done pretty quickly. Definitely seems like DT is a bit behind. But we'll see what happens in these Metroid rooms. We'll see what happens on relkin's way to Mother Brain in the fight. See if he's able to get Zeb Skip or Baby Skip, any of those tricks. They can end up adding a little bit of time.
Well, it's worth noting for Baby Skip, if you don't get it immediately right the first try, you have lost time. Zeb Skip, on the other hand, can save lots.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, getting through the last of the Metroid rooms. So we're unequipping Various Suit, which suggests that he is either not going for Baby Skip or not confident that he's going to get it. And taking damage again suggests he's probably not going to go for that. Just let the baby take down your health. Taking the Various Suit off makes this a faster drain. And if he's doing the stand-up glitch on Mother Brain, it's going to make that a little bit easier to set up as well. Provided he knows the right damage values, knows where to keep his health during the fight. DT having no trouble with the back of Swamp Palace. Is going to be entering GT. Looks like he'll be getting in GT around the time that relkin starts the Mother Brain fight. Relkin gets through the Zeb Skip. Not too bad. Didn't quite gain as much time as he could have.
6 missiles to crack open this plating, and then 30 missiles worth to get through Mother Brain 1.
Yep, use 30 missiles or a combination of missiles and supers. Speed
and
up. Nicely
DT
done.
is, just nearly entering Gans Tower as the actual Mother Brain fight starts.
Nice heads-up play from DT, stopping his dash before the crystal animation, so that his sword doesn't add any more lag to the cutscene. Actually, makes it go faster. Again, another little tiny thing that I'm sure these runners are aware of, just by their wealth of knowledge of the game. Relkin tanking some damage while getting these shots in. It does go below the health that you need for stand-up glitch. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not, but either way, he's committed at this point to damage down to 3 tanks. So 1 beam will drain him into the final phase of the fight. looks like relkin did turn on his Varia suit again. If he hadn't, it would have... It takes 6 E-tanks, I believe. Not Hyper Beam, the Rainbow Beam from Mother Brain. That would have killed him.
Yeah, that would have been bad for him.
Luckily, he knows what he's doing. He's keeping track of it. I didn't see him turn it back on, but good thing he did.
So I guess we have to ask the question, will relkin choose to save the animals?
I imagine he won't. I can't say I've seen very many animals saved during this tournament. Especially not from... At this point in time, we haven't had a finish. You never know. There are definitely runners that will always save the animals no matter what.
The Brain 3 goes down, and DT is ascending Ganon's tower now. But the escape takes a lot less time than all of this GT and a Ganon fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, just not quite enough time for DT. It's probably only going to be a few minutes difference. But definitely going to be a pretty close race here still. Showing off the Fire Rod strats here in the Gauntlet, showing that the Stalfos don't actually have the burn animation. You need it with the Fire Rod. It's good to know. Most enemies get
the shine sparking up through the criteria shaft. Hold on. And yeah, those animals are gonna die.
That's fine. It's not like they help you get any items, unlike Shack.
Exactly. They're useless. And by virtue of never going there, relkin did never kill Shack Tool. That is a GG for relkin. With an official SRL time of... Hold on, let me scroll up. 3 hours, 20 minutes, and 59 seconds. The timer you see next to this thing is his own personal thing that he just apparently hasn't stopped yet. Now let's see if we can't get him in here for an interview.
You know, we get to listen to the nice beeps on DT's side. He's not in a whole lot of danger here. Should be able to refill before Moldorm and be fine. Also, somehow DT got 20 bombs, so he's not going to be able to do that nice little strat that relkin did and use his last bomb on that door to save the menu. Kind of awkward patterns there. We'll get one or two here. Oh, just misses that. That deflection back. Looks like that was 4 cycles on Aghanim for DT.
Alright, and we have Relkin in here with us. GG, and congratulations on your victory. So, about the seed.
Oh, well, the seed sucked, but I sucked even worse, so, I mean...
I don't know, Moonpool on the Agala just pretty suck.
Yeah, that, and also me not realizing that you're not supposed to charge shot the guys in Plasma Room.
Yeah, you're not the only one that learned that today, because I didn't know that either. He had the same trouble. He was able to figure it out, but kind of took him a second. He did the same thing, kind of trapped in that room trying to charge shots. It's pretty unfortunate.
For a fun bonus fact, the Hyper Beam also does nothing to them.
SM is weird.
Sure is. So, I mean, it was a seed where you did your Sphere Zero, and then you could do all of the Super Metroid game.
Yeah, that was very stupid of it to require you going through Lower Norfair just to be able to kill Aga to get your Moon Pearl.
And then back to get your mitts.
Yep.
Yeah,
You have
don't
to go
forget
back
that.
through it. Yep.
Fortunately, you made that decision to full clear Maya, and you got the Bombos medallion.
Yeah, I was really glad that I didn't have to clear any more, basically not clear anything else out of my way. And
that is a
link to the path.
GG for In the Name of DT. Give me one moment. I'm going to grab his SOL time. 3 hours, 25 minutes, and 47 seconds. And we'll see if we can grab him in here as well. I'm sorry, please continue.
I was gonna say, yeah, basically everything after that fell into my lap, basically, after getting mitts. So that was at least nice to not have to keep searching after that.
Yeah, it seemed fairly linear for a few stretches of the seed. Just curious to ask, so how, I'm sure that reset felt really bad. How much did that change your routing? Is there anything that you did or didn't do based on that you would have done differently?
I obviously didn't go back for grapple. Oh, nice grapple location, vanilla.
Right.
I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna forget about Shack Tool, and if something's there, I lose. So I was just
Now,
like, I
have an
risk that.
important question. If you had done Check Tool, would you have killed him?
I really don't care. I probably would just, kept playing. Just skip right on past him.
Very nice.
All right, and we're also joined in here by In the Name of DT, GG.
Yo, hey, GG and Relkin, GG, congratulations taking first.
Thanks, dude. GG.
What a game, where to begin? There are so many things on my mind about this.
Well, let's talk the very first thing, which is probably that moon pool.
The literal last location Moon Pearl, basically literal last location Titan's mitts.
You could have done Maya the Dungeon before you did Maya the Shed.
I preemptively took some aggravation out on Shack Tool, I guess, so it was coming. We knew it was going to happen.
That is how these things tend to work. Fortunately, once both of you finished Total Rock, you both went straight to the Pyramid Fairy and decide to look in maybe Ice Palace or the Smith Chain or King's Tomb for the mirror.
Yeah, I was gonna do King's Tomb right after Pyramid. I was trying to think about like chests per minute, and Pyramid Fairy, King's Tomb, even not Lumberjack, Blacksmith stuff was gonna be just quicker density than anything in Ice Palace. So yeah, I was prepared to last location Ice Palace and find the mirror there too.
Yeah, that was an interesting call from you, DT, to do Mother Brain so early. So I imagine you didn't know? I didn't know that power bomb door would like regenerate, would turn back orange again, and you'd have to get another power bomb.
I think what happened there was that I actually save scummed my check on that earlier, just so that I didn't have to drop all the way back down and then climb the other shaft again.
Oh, that's right, because you saved in the parlor.
Right, because I had forgotten about that too. I went in and it was orange. I'm like, wait, I did this. Wait,
Yeah,
I save and quit or reset.
I forgot about that because I knew you'd open the door and you checked it. But
Right. Now, I want to touch on something that you had mentioned, or I don't know if it was you or Lachlan, but when I first came into Voice, you guys were talking about Hyper Beam not working on the Plasma Room pirates.
Yep.
Apparently, it doesn't work on the little yellow chewed up bubblegum stuff either.
The Boyons are also immune to Hyper Beam.
So I learned something. That room was hell for me to eventually get a Shine Spark up on, because I didn't have... Because I did Mother Brain early because I wanted to actually route that in on the way back to A Link to the Past and get the mushroom. I thought that was smart. What was not smart was forgetting that my ammo was going to be like 0 on the return.
Right, yeah.
We had speculated that you were thinking to do that, and it would be smart. And we thought it'd be smart until we saw the door was still open.
Right. I mean, you could have refilled at the ship, but I guess having to go back to Waterway as well to grab that, it was kind of an awkward position.
It just defeated the purpose of the routing.
Yeah.
So, but oh well. I mean,
luckily you didn't miss out on much. I mean, Ice Beam would have made Mother Brain a tiny bit faster.
Yeah, but we saw what Ice Beam was behind.
Yeah. So you would have had to done it at the very end to get any efficiency out of that.
But no, the seed was mean. I wanted you to go all the way through Lower Norfair to get the lamp, just so you could do Agate to get your moon pearl.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you did take one death on Whitley, but you didn't let it get you down, and you went down there and got him a second time, despite a low ammo count.
Low ammo count. I wasn't really worried at first because I had charge, and then I realized that this was like one of my first times ever fighting Ridley with charge beam as a backup.
It's not as easy as you would think it is.
No, the Super Metroid, the people that are really proficient at Super Metroid are really, really good at navigating their controller, and it's such an awkward thing for me still.
Well, and that's the point on Whitley's body where it just blocks the beam from hitting him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and understanding the manipulation of the AI. Also, I want to point out Relkin. He used his charge shots first, and then supers. I don't know if you did that on your second fight or not, DT, but it kind of makes it easier to like land your hits once Ridley speeds up in the later part of the fight. I think that is an advantage that it may be counterintuitive to use the lower DPS first, and then halfway through the fight or so switch over to super missiles. That was a really heads-up play from Relkin to make sure that
cool.
Every shot counts at the end of the fight.
There's still a lot about boss mechanics and whatnot that I'm just not familiar with. So that's a really, really cool piece of information. I thought about doing it even, but didn't know what importance it would have. Just change my mindset about it, I guess. But I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah, that I guess similar to the question I asked Relkin. So Relkin had a reset, unfortunately, got stuck in the Plasma Pirate room, didn't realize that you could uncharge. He was charging shots to try to kill them. It wasn't working. And that happened around the same time that you died, DT. Did that death at Ridley change any of your routing after that? Or did you continue doing things the same as you would have otherwise?
I don't really feel like it changed much. I guess that's the short answer. I don't really have a longer answer to it. It was I was committed to it. I wasn't gonna bail on LN until I got a couple more E-tanks, because that would have wasted even more time, I think.
Makes sense.
You know that the seed was pretty straightforward. Although you did take a decent bit of damage going through the spiky room of death, because boy, those spikes hurt in the wreck ship. But
Yeah, it was a
it's-
little awkward without gravity. But oh
Do
well.
either of you have any other comments you'd like to say about this seed?
Nothing specifically. I'm just happy that it was as close as it was. I mean, it got
It
us
was a
both,
close
I guess.
match. It was a close match. You know, the chat was definitely questioning a lot, and it was in the lead through most of it. It
And
wasn't
it was really
until
hard to tell.
near the end.
And with the drastically different times you guys did Torian, it was really hard to tell the entire time who was in the lead. Yeah, it was a fantastic race.
You know, I felt incredibly behind pretty much after that major mistake in Meridia. So, interesting.
Good to you, Relkin, as you move into the bracket stage. Once brackets are finalized, there is still one match yet to be scheduled in the group stage. But, anyways, this is a fun tournament for everyone involved, including myself. I want to thank both of you guys for being here and putting on the show for us. Everyone, feel free to go and follow both In the Name of DT and Relkin. They're both awesome people. I want to thank Link40, our tracker. I want to thank Rank 1 Global for stumping up a prize for this tournament, so feel free to go check them out. They have their own little social site for gaming people like us. And my co-com, Ace Zero. And of course, the fine people at SpeedGaming.
Yeah, thanks, Lachlan. It was a pleasure working with you, and thanks for the great race, guys. Unfortunately, you're out of the tournament, DT. Hopefully, you had some fun though. Definitely put on a good match.
Yep, it was enjoyable. Combo Rando's been a lot of fun. I'll keep playing it. It's just enjoyable. It's good fun.
That's good to hear, and good luck going forward in the bracket stage. Are you? What are your thoughts on that?
That's pretty cool. I don't consider myself very good at the combo rando, but I would have hoped to make brackets if anything. So I met my goal. That's pretty cool. But I don't expect to get too much farther than that.
Well, and anything can happen in these randomizers. Looking forward to some good matches either way for you and all the other great people that are in this tournament.
Yep, thank
anyone
you.
else with any final words?
I believe that is it. Take care, everybody. Stay safe, and if anyone wants to play this randomizer for themselves, you can find it at samus.link. There's also be information for about the Discord in there.